Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. So many events again in July, Aries, but let's start probably with the most important for you. The two big planets, gosh, giants, Saturn and Neptune, are meeting within less than a degree, within 30 minutes of each other in our sign, in Aries. This will never happen again in your life. I mean, it's repeating again in February 2026, but it's part of the same cycle and it will never repeat again. So, Aries, a lot of you might be called to a new mission in life. It might be even divinely ordained mission because Neptune is considered divine inspiration, divine grace, vision for the whole humanity. Some of you might even have the ability over the next 35 years, because this cycle lasts 35 years, to embody some very important role for the world, maybe some leadership role, maybe some visionary role, maybe some new role that will contribute to the world in a big way. Maybe not all areas will become leaders and visionaries and change the world, but if anyone is going to be given, let's say, the aces and the most important cards during the cycle, this will be people with strong areas, whether it's their sun, moon, or ascendant. And right now in July and for the next 12 months, because they will meet again, Saturn and Neptune in your sign in February 2026. So it'd give like a year, a couple of years almost ahead, that this new role that you have to play, that this new mission that might be given to you in your personal life or for the collective, to change the collective, will unfold and will be revealed gradually for you over the next 1-2 years, because Saturn and Neptune continue to be close together. But it starts now, maybe in June already for some, but in July, you might be given those inspirations, ideas, directions, or ideas how, in what direction your life will be changing and what role you will be asked to do. Maybe some big work is expected of you. And by the way, Saturn transiting through your sign means that you are ending a 28-year-old cycle. If some of you are as old as me and remember your previous Saturn through Aries, which was 28, 27 years, 29 years ago, because it stays for 3 years there. And if something started in your life then that you've been battling or struggling with, or a situation that you've been unfolding for almost 30 years, now it might end. And that's great because you might be freed from, let's say, from a big karmic burden or from difficult circumstances or some difficult karmic situation that you had to experience, and you'll be freed from that and you start on a clean slate. These two planets together in your sign say we're wiping the old karmic slate clean and you're starting a new cycle. And if you've been a decent and good person, which most of you I'm sure are, not trying to harm others purposefully, trying to improve yourself, working on yourself to some extent, the new cycle is always better than the old one. It will have its own challenges, but the old ones that have been pestering you for many, many years, possibly, will be gone. And the new mission will unfold in front of you. So, and Saturn is turning retrograde, by the way, in the middle of the month in Aries for the first time in 30 years almost. The very early Aries, those that are, say, born on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of March, or those who have moon or ascendant in the first 3 degrees of Aries, they would feel it the strongest, 3-4 degrees. They would feel it the strongest, that something shifts in the direction of their life, their perspective. But for all Aries, because Saturn is turning retrograde in our sign, there would be the turning within and starting to, let's say, analyze and introspect on what direction you want your life to be going, maybe to change something. And it's not going to happen overnight. I said Saturn is in your sign for 3 years almost, and it will go retrograde there 2 more times next year and the year after that. But this is the first chance to start reconsidering how can I restructure and change my health. For example, the first house is the body, my career, my path in life, my mission in life. If it's your sun in Aries, it's how you want to build your life. The sun is your vision for your life, the role that you have to play here to contribute to the collective. who you are as a person as well. If it's the moon, your personal life, you might start to change direction and for you to reconsider how you can change it. Some very important decisions might be taken because Saturn has its strongest influence when it goes retrograde or turns direct. Usually that's when the pivotal matters come to the surface to be examined and they escalate and some decision need to be taken, some reconsideration, some redirection, change of the rails, changing of the rails, and some deeper commitment, Saturn going retrograde, to maybe examine your life and what you want your goals to be, or your personal life, if it's your moon, if it's your ascendant, it's the body, the health, the direction you want to go in your personal life as well. And, the roles that you play in society. And to reconsider those and to commit deeper, because Saturn retrograde is stronger, to commit to or recommit or deeper to something and to stay the way there. So yeah, that's a lot of interesting, very powerful influences for you. And Neptune is next to Saturn. It gives you the vision. And I would invite anyone who is Aries this July, but possibly constantly in your life if you want, because Neptune is our connection with the invisible worlds. It opens portals, and it's in your sign. It opens portals for inspirations, for even counsel or advice to come from dearly loved departed ones, from your guardian angels, call it whatever you want, from your higher self. Neptune is the epitome of divine grace and love. And if you connect with that quiet voice through meditation, through walking in nature, through grounding yourself in some way, you can download inspirations, ideas, intuitions, or feelings that will lead you in the right direction to build something very important in your life, because Saturn is to build something, a value, something like a legacy that you can leave behind, something that is tangible and real, some tangible changes. And if you are kind of attuned to this quiet inner voice of Neptune, whether it's through peacefulness, through prayer. I personally don't like meditating. I like praying, or I like sitting on the trees and swinging in the, the swing and just being connected. But somehow, through these very soothing and slowing down qualities of Neptune, or being in water, swimming in the ocean. Many times I get a lot of my ideas swimming in the ocean or being in the bath or in the shower, which is again Neptune. It's some kind of a relaxed state, connecting with the elements of nature. That you can download and that you can start seeing your life from a different perspective, so you can restructure it and you can change your reality, which is Saturn. So good luck, Aries. A lot of very important things are coming to us. But now let's focus specifically on June. Venus will be in your third house for the whole month pretty much. It's good to socialize only this month, to connect with like-minded people, to meet friends, relatives, neighbors, to get together with people in your small local community, to enjoy the presence of others. This is a social house, the third house here. Maybe any projects to do with writing, with speaking, with media should go well because of your third house, even though Mercury is going retrograde from the 18th of July. But Mercury is trining you. So, and Venus is in the third house connected to Mercury things, whether it's writing, trips, speaking, business meetings, business interactions, emails, and such kind of stuff. It should keep things good there, despite of Mercury going retrograde. And yeah, let's speak about Mercury going retrograde. Also, it will be good for relationships with siblings and so on this month, and friends and socializing. But Mercury turns retrograde. It means it's in shadow the whole of July. And from the 18th, it turns retrograde in your fifth house. And will stay for 2 months basically in your fifth house. So there is a big, big focus in this fifth house of yours for 2 months. And the sun will be there. There will be a new moon on the 24th in Leo. So a lot of five house energy for you in July and August as well, because Mercury continues to be there. So they can be more focused on having fun, for example. When Mercury turns retrograde, you might want to revisit some places that you used to love or activities that you used to love. Maybe you used to love playing tennis, but you haven't had time for it, or you like going out to party, but you haven't done it for a while, or you like going to the theater, or you like going to concerts. Fifth house is the things that fill our soul with joy, that we connect with the creative flow. Uh, and our own creativity, instead of just being consumer of creative things. So this fifth house energy might invite you to actually you yourself activate your creativity. I don't know, do some pottery, do something beautiful, because fifth house is creative, is or something that puts you in center stage. Maybe fifth house is our original ideas. Maybe work on some original ideas of yours. And because Mercury will be retrograde, it might be an idea that you thought about, might have been a business idea, might have been another creative idea that you had. Maybe to do something in your garden. I don't know what stage in your life you are, if your career focus more or personal life focus more. But something that you've been thinking to do about might come back for you to redo it or to start doing it now. Uh, Also, if you're working on some project, might be creative or business related, but it's your own ideas or your own business, then you might have to redo something. For example, if you're doing a website and Mercury goes retrograde and you're creating this website, or you're creating some article or video or something, I don't know, something that is again using your natural talents and gifts, you might have to redo it because you see that there is a better option, or because you see something is not working as well. So yeah, this can be a little bit frustrating, but the final result, again, as I always say, after Mercury retrograde, which will be from August onwards when it turns direct, you end up with a much better product or much better creation. Fifth house is also your children. You might have to put more attention to them. You might have to have some clarifying conversations with loved people, romantic partners, children. These are our people that are close and dear to our heart. Or maybe a child you haven't seen for a while, been studying away, comes back to see you. Mercury retrograde in the fifth house. So maybe a romantic partner relationship that ended might have ended even 20 years ago. I remember the last time Mercury was retrograde in Leo, uh, an ex from 25 years ago contacted me. Like, oh, I found you on the internet. And I put this to rest because it was a hurtful breakup. Sometimes you might have to revisit an old romantic relationship so you can even resume it, or you can see the person and say, wow, okay, I don't feel the pain anymore, or I'm free from this. It's healed. Or I've seen it really, people reconnect together and start being together again. Usually more recent relationships, but there are exceptions. Or you might just be, as I said, revisiting activities and things that you loved from before. Of course, with Mercury retrograde, there might be some lover spots there, something that maybe romantically one of you or the other partner is not happy about and says, like, we don't have enough romantic time, or you might have to communicate some things together after the middle of the month, usually when it turns retrograde, or you might have to, um, you know, rediscover themselves each other from a different angle. Mercury retrograde doesn't mean something will have to break or it's not good. It shows you a different perspective. That's all. A different perspective. And yes, they can be ups and downs sometimes romantically, but many times for me, because it's trining new planets in Aries, this Mercury retrograde, it will be more like revisiting some old things and slowing down a little bit again, seeing things from a little bit different perspective, rethinking what sparks your joy, and trying to find it again or do it. But there is also a new moon in Leo on the 24th. The sun and the moon are together, something new will be born there, a new hobby, a new creative idea that brings you wings and that will help you possibly as well. New original idea that can help you with this new beginning that is also happening with Saturn and Neptune. As I said, this new mission, new role that you have to play, new direction in life that you're being called to do. So this new moon actually helps Aries to find its module, even romantically. So maybe even There is something from the past romantically, but also the possibility of something new because of the new moon and the retrograde Mercury, something old and something new, and then something blue. I'm kidding. But moon, sun, new conjunction, renewal of your sense of joy, of creativity, your sense of inspiration, possibility for a child, for example, to create something new, or also new developments in the life of your child, plus some completion of old things because of the Mercury retrograde. So it's a mixed bag. Don't forget that Jupiter continues for the second month to be in your fourth house and will be there for the next 11 months. And July, it means that more and more it will improve your personal life situation, your personal emotional happiness, because fourth house is happiness, to feel content, and even healing kind of depressions and sad feelings, or sad feelings which usually stem from early childhood conditioning and suffering gets healed when Jupiter is in the fourth house, but it's a 12-month process. Don't forget that. And improving relationship with family, or even some positive developments about where you're going to live. The moment Jupiter entered my fourth house, because I am an Aries as well, the moment it entered Cancer, finally we decided where we're going to live, and it felt the right decision. And I was like, such a relief. So you have 11 months to really improve the circumstances of a personal life, where you're going to live, where you feel at home, or to expand your home or expand your family even. And yes, Mars is going to be in your sixth house. So it's not just going to be party and fun, this fifth house. You'll be quite productive as well, because Mars is you. Mars rules you. Being the whole month in the sixth house, Virgo, the sign of work, the sixth house of work, yeah, there will be errands and responsibilities that you'll be tackling in without fear, with courage. Mars likes being in the sixth house. It gets done things that have to be done, errands, things that have to be fixed around, things that have to be, or jobs, And the Mars is meeting with the South Node. That meeting happens once, so you and Mars, you meet the South Node once every 2 years only. And some old karma also finishes, or some old anger might be awakened to be released, say some suppressed anger that you haven't expressed can be released now. And it's good, better out than in, because suppressed anger festers, turns into cancers, into cysts, into all kinds of inflammation. But speaking about that, this suppressed anger that is coming out, that is, South Node is the past, might turn out through some symptoms, health symptoms, because the sixth house is also the house of health. For example, something like inflammatory condition, a cold of some sort, sometimes something bursting even, who knows, or some aches and pains. But I want to give you peace of mind that this is anger that is leaving your body, unresolved anger, suppressed frustration as well. And even if you feel quite triggered, no, it's a healing phase as well. And you have to be a bit careful about accidents. Sixth house is a little bit, it's in conjunct the first house. It's the house of health and accidents and such kind of stuff. Maybe you have to be a bit careful, a bit more cautious, but there is a lot of other support around for you. And possibly the most interesting part of this video for you would be about Uranus, because Uranus this month is moving. I think it was on the 17th, something like that. Might be confused, but it's moving to Gemini, and it will stay there around 5-6 months this year. We'll move back to Taurus and then move for the next 7 years in your third house. So this video, keep it and come back to it over the next 7-8 years, because Uranus in your third house will be really helpful for Aries. For 8 years, it will sextile Aries, supporting you. A lot of new people will appear in your life. This is a social house that Uranus will activate for Aries for the next 8 years. Uranus makes something awake and alive. So it's almost like you become more social, even if, like me, you're more introverted or like your time alone. And a lot of, whether you want it or not, new people will appear in your everyday life. Maybe new neighbors, new neighborhood. There is also the energy of moving more, traveling more. That will become more and more. And I had Uranus to my third house from the ascendant, and that's when I started traveling a lot. And suddenly, because Uranus is sudden. Oh, I'll go to Portugal this week. These are short trips. Third house. Oh, I'll go to here, there. And now it will be in the third from my sun sign. So again, this will activate the social to connect with new people. Interesting, very diverse social circle will appear around you, or even colleagues. Your kind of social environment surrounding people in your life will change with new ones, but also they might be over the next 7, 8 years, if Uranus is making challenging aspects to other planets in your horoscope, say you have planets in Virgo or Pisces or Sagittarius, there might be sudden stopping of connection with people in your life, especially relatives or especially friends or people, colleagues that suddenly leave, or friends that suddenly leave. Like when Uranus was in my third house from the ascendant, I moved where I lived, and all my friends suddenly were gone. Totally new social environment, totally new relatives, totally new people, neighbors to communicate with. Uh, and but it is exciting. Aries will like Uranus in their third house. I also started my astrology business when Uranus was in the third house. So third house is business, third house is also social media, third house is websites, internet, and so is Uranus. So you might be called to develop something. Is it apps? Is it media presence? Is it maybe turning your business, digitizing it a bit more, or having more friendship through digital communications, more or connections, or just using a lot of more technology in some way. And it will come to you very easy. Anyone who has strong Aries, Uranus to their third house, they'll be learning with ease, the easiest than anyone else, probably. Possibly just Gemini will be faster than you're as quick as you to, because you see everything is changing, new apps every day, new AI is changing something. We need new skills. And Aries, you're on the leading edge with Uranus in the third house of new skills, how quickly you learn, and understanding technology, learning skills, training. Uranus there makes your mind so fast. You'll be like downloading. You'll be like, how do I know it? You'll be like, others will be like, how did you learn it so quickly? And you would be like feeling what are the right trends in technology, in business, in society. But of course, there will be some disruptions again with Uranus in the third house. I speak a lot more in depth about Uranus through the houses and Uranus making any aspect. Say you might be Aries, but you might have your Venus in Pisces, and Uranus will square it. And I go through every possible aspect Uranus can make in my Uranus in Gemini webinar, which is only $20. It's 5 hours. You can keep it for life. And I tell so many life stories of people I know about every aspect Uranus can make. Say Uranus might oppose your Saturn, or it might sextile your sun, like for also Aries, or sextile your moon if your moon is in Aries. And I show you how to find every planet in your horoscope and see if Uranus will do anything to it in the next 8 years and how it will manifest. So you can check it out. So Uranus in the third house, I think it's overall very good, very exciting. It will wake your mind to be excited about what's happening in the world, for news, for keeping up with everything new that is coming, to be very in touch with those things, to connect with the right people, and yeah, to maybe even some ideas for books. Some of you, third house is writing, posting videos, blogging, something, even if you've never thought about doing it, suddenly this Uranus energy in your third house, like when Uranus was transiting my third house, I learned to do videos, I learned to edit, I learned to use YouTube, Facebook to do marketing, and I was having a blast, and it really was flowing amazingly. And even if you don't, you say, I don't want this, something like that will happen. You'll be learning. You'll be learning some new skills and you'll be very quick at them. And at the same time, as I said, there is a new mission for you. But if you want to find out more about Uranus in Gemini, check out, it's very affordable, 5 hours long plus 100 pages of written text from my Bible, Transit Bible book that I wrote over the last 10 years. Thank you so much, Aries. Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. Taurus, Let's start with the influences that are specific only for this month, and then we'll go to Uranus leaving your sign because it created quite a tornado in your life, a storm for the last 7, 8 years. Maybe not constantly, but there was sudden reversal at some point in those 7, 8 years that totally changed your life. Some of you might think it changed it for better, some of you might think it changed it for worse, but there is always silver lining. But it was unstable. When Uranus is in your sign, there is left and right surprises out of the blue. God just wants to shake you up from the sleep and kick you into a new direction. But Uranus is leaving your sign. And Taurus is not very comfortable with the energy of Uranus because Taurus's purpose in life, whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant, a big part of this purpose is stability. And for a lot of you, it was lacking. Or for a lot of you, a lot of novelty things came, but again, it doesn't speak stability. And now Uranus is leaving your sign, but we'll come back to this at the end of the video. Let's see the specific energies for this month. Venus is in your second house just this month, pretty much the whole month. That's you. Wherever Venus go, you go. Venus goes in your second house, so your mind will be more on uh, having good food, being near dear loved people, near family, and things like that will go very well. Maybe acquiring things that you consider valuable and beautiful, resources. You can more easily have access to resources that you need, maybe resources for your business, maybe money for something that will be pleasant and indulgent for you, or maybe buying a beautiful something for your home or something for and of course, you can spend as well more, but when Venus is in your second house, you kind of have better quality to realize what is worth investing in. So if you're doing any investment, this is good time because Venus is in your second house the whole month, because you figure out which is the quality from not so good quality. It's also good for visiting good restaurants, gourmet experiences, and such. And financially, there can be some financial ease for you, or if you have your own business, somehow more income, more financially feeling stable. At the same time, we're going to have Mars the whole month in your fifth house. And Mars, wherever Mars goes, we become more active there, more driven. And fifth house is a house of having more fun, of holidaying, of enjoying yourself. So, yeah. And of course, Mars might do some more stressful aspects for some of you, depending on your personal horoscope. So you have to be a bit careful about, let's say, going into arguments with loved ones, like romantic partners or children. They might trigger you. Like when Mars transits my fifth house, my child become wilder, but I also have more fun with them and I'm more active with them. So one way to channel Mars is to be more active. If some kind of, especially things that were buried, because Mars will meet with the South Node, which is past influence of unresolved past matters, especially if you have some buried resentments, anger with your children or with your romantic partner. They might come to the surface because Mars is meeting the South Node. We have to resolve the unresolved now, and it will be resolved. And it might first, though, explode and escalate. So you kind of like exchange a few words with loved ones about what is annoying you, or they might say that, or they might be triggering your buttons. It's important when Mars is with the South Node this whole month, not to suppress your anger, but also don't go killing everyone. Find some productive ways, maybe through some physical activity, through more sport. When Mars transits the fifth house, we have a lot more energy to do sports and to do physical exercise because Mars puts this life force into the fifth house, which is a life force, which is a house of vitality. So yeah, if you can work through those, that because there is this release of anger that you've held, maybe because of a romantic hurt past one, it might be even years old, or something to do with children, or something to do with your confidence, because fifth house is confidence that was hurt. And this anger needs to go out to be released. Better out than in. South Node is the tail of the dragon, the excretion. So better out, you're excreting some anger there. Plus, you might be very active, maybe completing some old creative project, for example, or business project if it's your own ideas. You might be more active, partying and such things, but Rahu is also to lose one's head. No, sorry, not South Node, because the South Node is a dragon without a head. So when you're having fun, try not to lose your head too much. You know how we can lose our heads, be certain substances and things that we allow to penetrate our aura. So these are the things I would caution you towards. But otherwise, yes, Mars will give you to be more active with children, to be more active in romantic matters. If you're single, even to more actively go dating, for example, more actively have more courage to invite others and so on. Or even because North-South Node is the past, maybe some reconnection, maybe from past lifetime connection romantically, or maybe some past type of entertainment and enjoyment that you like, that you might be active on. But yeah, you have to warn you that there is a possibility also of certain quarrels with such people signified by the fifth house, and having to resolve some issue. Then we have Mercury going retrograde around the 18th, but it's in a shadow period, pre-shadow, whatever, the whole month. And it's staying in your fourth house the whole July and the whole August, July and August. So and there is a new moon with the sun and the moon in your fourth house. So there's something old that you're resolving with family, with parents, with matters regarding land or papers regarding ownership of land or houses. So some documentations with houses, you might have to work on those next 2 months, or maybe selling or buying house, but because of Mercury retrograde, you might have to be delayed, so it can be fixed, so it can be made to be more fair, or something to be investigated or completed before that. Or they might be reconnected with, maybe you haven't seen your parents in a while, Mercury retrograde in your fourth house, you go and see them, or your place of birth, or places that you used to live in before that you revisit. Or maybe you need to have some clarifying conversations with family members. So, okay, maybe your kids are pissing you off too much, of going crazy there. And you sit with them, because fourth house, fifth is the children, fourth is the dynamics in the family. And you sit and say, okay, we need new rules, or we need to revisit the rules here. Or maybe you have some family plans, and there will be some, you're planning something with the family, but Mercury goes retrograde, you might have to do a plan B or C instead of that. And it's not necessarily it's going to be worse, it might be even better. But yeah, there might be, you have some plans, and it might be to be prepared that it might not go according to expectations. So maybe you're building something, home, house related, or garden related. And Mercury retrograde is that you need to put more efforts, attention to details. I remember I was putting up beds together when we bought this house during Mercury retrograde, and had to do all 3 beds over because I did them wrong. So I have to repeat it 2 times, but I made them perfect at the end. Also, I was building this outside kitchen during pretty much the whole month and a half of pre-shadow Mercury retrograde, and then direct, and it was finished by the time Mercury was fully direct, was out of the shadow period for about a month, couple of months almost. So you might be doing something around the house. And I was worried with Mercury retrograde, it's not going to work well. There was some delays, but it worked out well. But a year later, we had to change those, you see those poles, because they were wooden and they started cracking. So doing it during Mercury retrograde, I knew that something would have to be redone after that, but that's when the craftsman could do it. And we redid it on another Mercury retrograde, and now they're stable and good. So I'm just telling you stories so you see how the energies of this flow, and it's not necessarily something negative. If anything, it can be, yeah, sometimes it's frustrating, but it's nothing too big, and it's often something important that happens around this fourth house, family, home, place of living. Plus there is a new moon there. There's something new as well after the 24th of July that is happening in your personal life. Maybe new circumstances with your family, new place of living for some of you, even a new direction, new plan of some sort, so there is renewal there. And yes, with Mercury retrograde and the new moon opposite Pluto, there might be some power struggles and things that were not unsaid in the family that come out, something that you discuss, or information about your childhood or past that you find out that is a bit like, whoa, bit shocking. uh, but again, it is life, things have to move, to develop, so sometimes there is like some things you have to clarify, to explain, to correct, and these planets will help you in that direction. And continues to be a good time for another 11 months for communications with Jupiter in your third house, to build bridges with others for any written or media or business project as well. Should go well. But I checked the previous video. I speak a lot more about Jupiter in the third house. But the biggie is that Uranus is leaving your sign. I promise I'll talk about that. And it will be out of your sign for 6 months. Then it will come back only in the last 3 degrees of Taurus. So those from 27 degrees to 30 degrees will experience Uranus again from the later autumn for the Northern Hemisphere in 5-6 months from now. But otherwise, let's speak. Uranus will be for 8 years in your second house. And Uranus in the second house, ultimately, the goal is to give you financial independence. Uranus is independence, second house is financial. And I know that this is like honey to you, this hearing the word, the financial independence, because Taurus is, it's one of their life mission to have this security. And Uranus can shake things up financially for you, but it will bring maybe some old ways of securing financial stability will disappear, will be pulled away, toppled, from as a resource from you. But totally new ones will appear. When Uranus was in my second house at the very end, finally, and during the whole time with Uranus in my second house for 8 years, I stopped working for companies and businesses. I became independent, self-employed. That was before I was doing astrology, self-employed as, I wasn't affiliated with any, like I was a waitress before, but there was an option to be self-employed waitress and move to different like catering and stuff. Anyway, and so there was a lot of rotation of where I was working, but it can make you, it's much easier when you're in a transit one second house to become self-employed and to become, to have financial resources coming from them from sudden, independent, unexpected sources of income. And you can become a lot more resourceful with new ideas. Uranus is very kind of ingenious to think of new ways where to have resources, stability. And at the very end of this transit, so I was independent, self-employed, but I was like, I started doing astrology, and all financial blessing opened up for me. And yeah, there were some ups and downs during those 8 years, but I never had to rely on a company or someone else. And again, because Uranus is also astrology or an alternative means, so you can do money from Uranus sources, through digital currencies, cryptos, through digital platforms, through anything Uranian, through anything out there, through new technologies, anything that's cutting edge, that is esoteric. Uranus also is esoteric knowledge, or knowledge is science as well. From scientific knowledge, if you can monetize it, or any knowledge about systems, or if you know any systems or any esoteric stuff as well, or alternative stuff. That can be, Uranus will support that. It might be more difficult if you're on a 9-to-5 job, because Uranus can make things inconsistent financially, or you might start feeling dissatisfied and want the freedom. But you have 8 years to figure it out. And it depends if Uranus is making positive aspects from a second house, or more challenging. Say you might be Taurus, but you might have planets in Sagittarius, or Virgo, Pisces, and Uranus will square or oppose them, or even planets in Gemini. And there might be some, when it's more challenging aspects, it's sudden shifts financially that you didn't expect and maybe you are not prepared for, but they can be really used for good. Say, for example, you lose your job suddenly, and like I did, I lost my gig at the end, gig of being freelancer. And And I had no choice but to start doing astrology. And I was like so miserable. How am I going to make money? And I'm like, I've always wanted to do astrology. You have to do it. So it was pulled out from me. And uh, because of documents and stuff like that, that suddenly I was not allowed to do it because the laws in UK changed. And it was pulled out from me. I lost that opportunity and I developed astrology business. And so when it's a challenging aspect, it can happen through some stresses and instability. When it's harmonious, you might have planets in, in Aries or in Aquarius or in Libra or in Leo. It will happen like, oh, a side gig or sudden opportunity that you flow easily into without the disruption, without the insecurity and instability that creates more resourcefulness for you. And of course, in my webinar on Uranus in Gemini, I show you exactly how to see what degree planets you have. It's very easy. You don't need to know any astrology. You just need to know the day you're born on and the year. And I show you how exactly to see that maybe you have a planet, maybe you have Mars in Leo and Uranus will sextile it. Maybe you have planet in Gemini and Uranus will transit. I go through absolutely every possible Uranus transit in a 5-hour video and through the houses way more in depth. Plus, I give you 100 pages of written material. I've written it personally myself over the last 10 years about the same transits, but with different stories, with different perspective. I never repeat, well, maybe somewhere it repeats, but like always, new insights. Also, so Uranus in the second house, the biggest thing it wants to do is this. Keep this in mind, even if things are like, whoa, shock. It's know how it can play out really great at the end and give you more financial independence. And it will change your tastes in what you like. Second house is very much about preferences even for food, preferences for how you dress, preferences to something that is more how you, second house is even considered to be the face. Uh, and Uranus is very youthful energy. Uranus is, and you might be more into young, you can become more into young and what's trending clothes or ones that feel actually more real, truthful for you. And yeah, so I speak a lot more about that in the webinar. It's only $20. Check it out. Thank you so much. And good luck. Uranus is leaving a sign. I mean, it will be definitely much smoother from now on. Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. Gemini, the biggest news for you is that Uranus is entering your sign. And there was just some banging that started when I said that. Your life is going to shift. It's going to become so different than before. Uranus has not been in your sign since the Second World War. So maybe very few of you remember it if they ever lived it for 80 years or something. So it's a rare. It's anyone who is born with Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising, they chose in this lifetime to experience the Uranus transit. However, their Sun or Moon or Ascendant, not everyone gets to feel that unless they live 89, 84 years. And this is total renewal. Uranus is the planet of waking up, like those people banging now. If you hear it, that's like if you're asleep, there is no more sleeping. Your nervous system will go on the edge, but it's also, I can give you an example. I'm Aries. I have 4 planets in Aries. When Uranus transited there, my whole life turned upside down for the better. Uranus removes everything out. It felt at the beginning like the Tower card in Tarot. That's everything is crashing. But that was the best thing that ever happened to me because that's when I met my husband, relocated to a new continent, got pregnant, got married. I got divorced and got married all within the same year of Uranus over my son. So I don't know exactly when it's going to happen for you that Uranus will transit your sun or moon or ascendant. Usually the whole transit is about 1 year of the influence, but Uranus will be in your sign for 8 years. If you want to find out, I've done a special webinar of Uranus in Gemini that I show you exactly which year Uranus will be on your sun, which degree your sun is, how to see which degree your sun is, and when exactly it's going to pass, and what exactly it will mean, or your moon or ascendant, or maybe you have in Virgo, Mars or Saturn, Uranus will square it. What does it mean for you? Maybe you have in Sagittarius, your Jupiter, Uranus will oppose it. What does it mean for you? Maybe you have in Aries a planet, say Venus, and Uranus will sextile it. How? And I give it a lot of stories and real life examples how it played out for you. But Uranus in your sign is a wake up call. It will free you. It will liberate you from unwanted situations, and it will happen overnight at the year when Uranus is transiting up your one of planet. You might have more than one planet in Gemini. When it's transiting either your sun, moon, or ascendant there, it will be like you wake up a new person. For me, it was I was freed overnight from a situation that I had that I was stuck in for so many years, for 9 years before that, that it was a nightmare for me. It was like literally, oh, one day Uranus on my sun, bam, free. And Uranus helps you cut like cords, karmic cords, if with the past, with the behaviors of yours, with even addictions and habits, with unhealthy situations, and you awaken. It's like your eyes suddenly open. The world is so much bigger. Why was I stuck looking at this thing and thinking that's the only way things can be, and why it's not working out? And suddenly you see for a totally different perspective that things are possible. It's literally like awakening. It's literally like awakening from a dream. And you're like, how could I have been so asleep or so stuck there? You're seeing it from a way high perspective. Uranus in esoteric astrology is the high vibration of Mercury. Also, we call it divine wisdom. So suddenly, so maybe you studied something, you've known it. There are a lot of wise things that we read, and we understand it here, but we don't understand it deep in the body. When Uranus transits over there, somewhere in your horoscope, wherever you have sun, moon, or ascendant, everything changes, and you realize it on a deep level, and you embody it. So a new role in life will come for you over the next 8 years. For me, the new role was when Uranus went into Aries. I became astrologer. The moment it went into my sun exactly, I became a mother and a wife. And Uranus can sometimes bring shakeups if it's making some hard aspects. It can be like, like for me, first it was my marriage suddenly broke up, like overnight. And then within a month, I meet the love of my life, and within a month I'm pregnant, and and 5 months later I'm divorced and married again. So it's sometimes they can be shakeups that shock you, that surprise you, that are out of the blue for you, but they are very necessary. It's like divine wisdom is working in your life. Your intuition will increase. You'd know things. You'd, you just download them suddenly. Plus Uranus, a lot of Uranian things will come into your life. And Uranus for you rules the ninth house as a Gemini, which means that your point of view, because ninth house is your beliefs, will shift so much. And Uranus is a lucky house, lucky planet for you, because Uranus rules the luckiest ninth house. This is the house of seeing from a higher perspective, connection to God, connection to your higher vision and ideals. Your ideals will become loftier. It's about learning something new, studying something, or even spending time abroad, or even traveling, or teaching, because ninth house is teaching, or learning, or traveling, or being abroad. This can be some of the part of the new roles you have to play, a foreign relocation even, or some kind of a new inspiration to learn something that gives meaning and excitement to your life. Uranus is an energy of awakening sexuality as well. Is the energy of out. It's like Uranus awakens the hormones in people, in teenagers, for example. It's like the ball of hormones around that time. And then Uranus is like midlife crisis. It's again the Uranus opposition. It's a very Uranian time. I'm not saying that you're having it, but if you have your Uranus in Sagittarius, you might also have the Uranus opposition Uranus, which is again awakens the hormones, and people fall in love suddenly, or have, because the hormones are not just for sexual thing, but to change your life. The hormones excite you, like the Kundalini rising is Uranus. The Kundalini, new life force to discover new sides of you, to that you never knew existed, that you never knew you were capable of. It will be a journey of self-discovery. It will be so exciting, guys. And I think Gemini are much more comfortable with Uranus than Taurus was, where Uranus was till now. Because Taurus wants to preserve things, wants to keep the status quo. And Gemini is the opposite. Gemini is out with the old, in with the new, very adaptable sign. So I think you'd have a blast. Again, that someone is bang, bang, bang. Even if you want to take it easy and rest, it's not going to happen. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a journey. It doesn't matter if you're 70 years old. Again, something new would awaken your excitement about life, about new opportunities. And a lot of Uranian things can come into your life. Maybe you can become very capable with AI, very capable with new technologies, very capable with online, digital, social media. Uranus is all of those things, or esoteric knowledge. Uranus rules astrology, rules human design, rules any esoteric knowledge, any systems of knowledge. Or you might become interested to be an electro engineer technician, because that's again electricity, Uranus, science. You might become interested in science, um, and the spiritual level. Uranus is wisdom and ingenuity and downloading new ideas. So get ready to wake up from slumber. Maybe only the very early born Geminis will now feel Uranus immediately. The first 2-3 degrees from July, this everything is changing. But all Uranus, all Gemini, the moment Uranus moves into a sign, like just for me, I started doing astrology the moment Uranus moved into my sun sign, even though the sun was 7 degrees later, or 5 degrees, sorry, 5 years later, the exact sun Uranus. But the moment it entered, I started doing Uranian thing. So it's very important to see also, is it your first house that your sun in Gemini is, or your moon, which house it is. That's where the webinar explained how to see it. You don't need to know astrology, as I said. But let's come back just to the influences of this month, because I threw you out 8 years ahead for the next 8 years. Just this month, Venus is in Gemini, the home month. So it's going to smooth things out for you, actually. You're going to feel more attractive. You're gonna enough. I stopped talking about Uranus. Stop banging. They're building something next to me. Uranus, Venus in your sign, more gentle, more attractive. Even love can come more easily to you. More loving experiences. If you're already married or in a relationship, it can smooth out or have pleasant experience. So even if you're single and you're not looking for anyone, it's just more of Venusian experiences of indulgence, pleasure, good food, good clothes. Just you feeling more attractive by the end of the month as well, or attracting people that towards you like a magnet. You become like honey. Venus gives you some of its honey, some of its magnetism, some of its gentleness. If you like people to, if you want to be appreciated, seen, noticed in some way, in a good way, with good response, now is the time to do it this July, because Venus is in your sign. At the same time, from the 18th of July, Mercury is going retrograde. And, you know, the whole spiel, Mercury goes retrograde 3 times per year. So nothing new under the sun, but you're ruled by Mercury. And there is some kind of reorientation around that time. A point of view. That's why Gemini changes its mind so much. They say it has so many faces, because Mercury, the planet that rules it, keeps going back and forth 3 to 4 times per year. So while say someone who is a Capricorn, the planet goes retrograde just once per year. So they would very much more rarely change their mind and track. While Gemini, now Mercury going retrograde, but we see things from a different perspective again. And that can make you rethink some things in life, change some things. It's okay, you flow with change. it's going retrograde in your third house, which is making good aspects to Gemini. So it's not stressful unless you have planets, say, in Aquarius, in Scorpio, in Taurus. It's going to square or oppose them, or in Leo. So it can be more stressful. But Mercury retrogrades are not stressful for big things. It's more like everyday mundane things. Say errands, you have some plan, especially it being retrograde in your third house. You have a plan for July and part of August. But the plans, you have to change them. Something comes up. You have meetings, people cancel. You have planned to do an interview, like oftentimes happens, no one appears, or something malfunctions on the phones, on the laptops, on communication devices. Maybe you have to repair your phone. Just be careful that you don't lose it basically around that time. But I don't think Mercury is doing any difficult aspects from there this time. It's not actually. It's not square, it's only making sextiles to Venus, to Uranus, maybe a bit to Neptune and Saturn. Yeah, no bad aspect. So I don't think it will be so stressful, but definitely some people from the past can come back to reconnect. Friends you haven't seen, siblings, relatives, third house to reconnect, teammates, schoolmates you haven't seen. Reconnection, maybe talking about some things from the past, or maybe completing some project that is media, mental work, administrative work, some documents or papers that you have to redo or send further, that maybe you applied for something and they tell, well, we need extra documents, send over. Or maybe you need to correct something on papers and so on. But sometimes business meeting negotiations get stalled during that time, or they need further attention to detail to be reworked a bit. And then by the time Mercury turns direct in August, sometimes things are, again, you've worked through those issues and you've made them better, and the final result can be much better. Or you might be traveling back to a place you've been before. Third house is travels. Maybe a favorite holiday destination, I don't know, that you go back to. But yeah, sometimes there can be the need to repair cars, transportation, such kind of stuff, or maybe your bus that you regularly take doesn't work for a few days or weeks, and that's kind of frustrating. So you need to find different routes. But that's again to awaken us from the automatic way we do things. And third house is anything written, spoken, documents, papers you might have to correct, rewrite passwords, that you might have to change. Hopefully you're not going to get locked out of those, but it's something that tends to happen, more often than any other planet. Mercury goes retrograde. And you're going to have also Mars in your fourth house. And Mars, the whole month is in your fourth house here. So wherever Mars goes, we're more active there. And you might be more active with family, or maybe building something around the house, doing DIY or working in the garden. That's the best way it can play out. Say you have some family activity or project, or you're doing some rearranging or moving of furniture or moving to a different place. That's the physical way you can use Mars. The not so physical ways is it can come out through, criticism, because it's in Virgo, with the family members, and especially things from the past that weren't said, because Mars is with the South Node, something from the past that hasn't been worked on emotionally, that you've been suppressing. Maybe something is bugging you about a family member, or about your parents, or about, any family or people. Emotionally, you feel triggered about something that you haven't said before, and it gets spoken out and addressed now. But it's completing like a karmic cycle of unexpressed and suppressed anger in some situation that needs to be expressed. So they can be like a little bit of a volcano situation where things escalate, especially in personal matters, in your personal life. This is the fourth house, with loved ones and so on. And sometimes even on the material level, it can be something breaks in the home, or you kind of like hit the door and hit your leg at home, or you have a blowout, or, because this is, don't think again, oh, this is bad, like bad energy. It's actually the suppressed anger, Mars in the fourth house, even a suppressed anger, even from childhood and from parental programming and ancestral programming, that needs to come out and be expressed and be excreted. The South Node is the anus of the snake. So you need to better out than in, as they say. So you need to excrete it. Sometimes even some physical conditions can appear, like acute and stuff, till you release this suppressed anger. And know that it's a healing process, because Mars is conjunct the South Node. And of course, don't start new. You can bury the hatchet after escalation, but don't start new fights and arguments. I mean, you might have to. It's it's just that you feel emotionally more triggered because of this Mars there. But the good news is that Venus, the whole month, is in your sign. So you have this honey in you, this sweetness that you can overcome any situation there, that you can gain people on your side, that you can keep more cool and zen through that. So you can catch more fish, more flies with honey this month than with, what was it? More flies with honey than, this Mars here. So bury the hatchets. And yeah, so, or just use it to do something around the home and the house. And yeah, so this is about it, guys. The biggest thing was Uranus in your sign, big events happening, but also the full moon, the new moon in your third house. As I said, you might be finishing some old projects with Mercury there, whether it's administrative business, tying a few ends, but at the same time, something new can appear, like new acquaintances after the full moon, after the 24th, new social connections coming to you, new business projects, new media projects if you're a writer or speaker in any sort, new skills, the desire to learn some new skills as well. So there is a mixed bag of things from the past in this third house that we talked about, Mercury retrograde, that you need to fix, correct, improve, or release and let go. Or put a closure to, and also new things coming there. And as I said, third house is very social house. It's also a lot connected to business, mental work, skills, communications. All right. So thank you so much. And if anyone would really benefit from Uranus in Gemini webinar that I've done, I think that will be you. It's 5 hours long, 100 pages of material as well that you can always use, and that can get you excited for this transit. Thank you. July, Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant 2025. July, this is your month, Cancers, but it's way more than your month, because Jupiter is already in your sign and it will protect you no matter what happens for the next 11 months. Physically, health-wise, psychologically, emotionally, in abundance. Jupiter loves being in Cancer. It's its favorite sign, and Jupiter is the great benefactor. Passing through there, it will bless you. For some of you, it might be healing. For others, it might be wealth. If it's your sun in Cancer, it might be something to do with your career and the dream you want to build in your life. And the mission that Jupiter can open doors for you. If it's your moon in Cancer, it might be your personal life that Jupiter will be, and it's continuing to bless. If it's your ascendant, your path in life, what you're here to do, your health, your direction. And health for all sun, moon, or ascendant is valid. And especially if you're Cancers from around the 4th degree of Cancer, sun, moon, or ascendant, you're around the 12th degree of Cancer. Jupiter is transiting those degrees this month. And already, because I have a lot of Cancers in my life, they already started telling me stories how beautiful, wonderful things are starting to unfold in them, how they feel more joy from life, how they feel more lucky and aligned, and how actual opportunities are coming to them. Especially Jupiter can help you fulfill a dream of yours. I can bless you with something that's been missing in your life that will bring you joy and being settled. So no matter what other predictions I do, Cancers, just knowing that Jupiter is in your sign, even if things get hard for a little bit, which is possible, because Saturn and Neptune are squaring Cancer for the next 12 months as well. Know that you're protected and it will play out better than you expect, that it won't last long, it will be reversed in some way. So yeah, this just wanted to give you the heads up to know that things are you're being divinely protected now. You're the favorites of the universe in a sense. And of course, the Saturn Neptune conjunction is most closed in July, and again we'll repeat in February. We spoke about it in the June videos if you want to go back there, but I can mention it. Truly, in this period now, from the summer, from June, July, till very likely even next, especially in February as well, 2026, the seeds are being planted for a new mission in life for you, because it's in your 10th house, for a new direction in some way, career-wise, or as a mission from those above, because this powerful conjunction happens once every 35 years only, and for you, it means it will be unfolding for 35 years, that you have some mission here that you would start unfolding from the next 12 months to 6 months, 6 to 12 months. A new idea, new inspiration will come down to you towards what you have to do in life, because the 10th house is your actions. The 10th house is what you're here to do as a career, as a mission to contribute to the world. And sometimes it's not in an easy way that it starts, but the universe has to push us in some way. And Jupiter is protecting you no matter what. But let's focus now just on this month specifically. Yes, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, especially if you enter prayerful position, if you try and stay calm, so you allow the Neptunian inspiration and divine love to pour, and the divine intuition to enter, for you to know what is the direction in your life, for you to know what is the next step, for you to know, because the 10th house is your reputation, your social status, what you're here to do. So allow yourself moments and time in meditation or in prayer, in moments in God's presence, so to speak, like a sacred space, maybe walk in nature, maybe swim in the ocean or something, where you can have a long time, so you can download as much as possible, let's say, instructions, divine instructions about this new mission that you might have, a new direction in life that you might be unfolding for the next 35 years. And to be honest, I think some cancers will be called to play a very important role in society with something that appears in their life over the next 1 year. Now, the conjunction is the closest in July, then again in February, but it can come anytime between now till after February next year as well, till the conjunction is closed, that you get this direction, how you're going to, what role you have to play in the world, in society, how it will change for you, because a lot of cancers will have socially important role to unfold through their work in some way, and the signs will be given to you. And Jupiter says new beginning cycle starts here, so you see. But let's focus specifically on this month. There is Mars in your 3rd house the whole month. It's only active this month, so it's specific only now, no like 10 years influence ahead. Mars in your 3rd house says you'll be quite active, because Mars is an active planet, is action in communications, in matters of connecting with others, discussions, talking, socializing, maybe doing some activities with siblings, with workmates, with teammates, or maybe traveling. 3rd house is traveling, short travels. Also, 3rd house is learning skills. Mars there can make it easier for you to undertake learning something difficult, for example. Because Mars is a very motivated planet, so this motivation comes naturally. And to do some difficult things, Mars will give you the courage, the motivation. But Mars is with a very karmic point the whole month. They meet once every 2 years. This karmic point is called Ketu, the butt of the dragon. It's a dragon, basically, the karmic dragon. The second part of it, it's cut in two. And that's where old karma gets excreted from, or ending. So there might be some escalation, say with siblings, with relatives, third house, with teammates, workmates, with people, with neighbors, people in your social environment, teammates, workmates, friends, for example. Some unresolved anger or frustration that hasn't been expressed can come to the surface to be resolved and released. So there is possibility this whole month, while Mars and the South Node are together, to as a resolution to a something that you haven't spoken about. Third house is communicate. And if you haven't expressed something through words, communicated something that you're frustrated from, you will be pushed now this month to be more vocal about it. Try not to escalate it too much, because it just wants to end the cycle, to release from your body this pent-up anger, especially, as I said, if it's anger or misunderstanding or some stresses around neighbors, relatives, social environment, people around you, through communications, writing emails that you like lose your head, because the South Node, Ketu, has lost his head. It has lost Rahu. It's cut in two. This is the mythology. Try not to lose your head when communicating with others. They might be pressing your buttons, but that's about allow and try to release also the anger. Don't keep it in, don't stifle it. And if you're, and you need to express through words what is annoying you as well, without being nasty and critical, because then it can really escalate with Mars in Virgo, which is super critical sign, and nitpicking. And others, you might feel like others in your environment are being like nitpicking and kind of more judgmental, and especially with the Mars and the South Node really kind of makes Mars lose its head furthermore. Go shoot everyone. I mean, collectively we might see such things, people losing it here and there, you know. But let's keep this out of your life and know that if you feel frustrated, you need to find a channel for it in some way. Go walk, it's your third house walk. Go, be careful when you drive as well. This conjunction is exact. Let me see exactly when it is exact, so you can be more careful around that time. Just a second. Mars 19th, 18th, around the 20th, 21st, 22nd, those 2-3 days of July. Be a bit more careful, especially when you're traveling, when you're using any machinery, heavy machinery as well. Or when communicating, answering emails, talking with others, because it's more explosive energy. But at the same time, as I said, it can end some built up anger, misunderstanding, stresses with such people in your life. And even you might complete some project that is mental, that is media connected, that is connected to business, to writing, to speaking, to documents. Put a lot of energy into it. You can put, because Mars puts energy, then complete it, the South Node. All right. Another thing is that Venus is in your 12th house the whole month. It's good for faraway travels. Far away, like, especially if you're going like retreats, hotels, the 12th house rules, all of those things, communion with nature. So you see you have help there. Plus, it can help also with dream in your sleep life. You might have more pleasant dreams as well. Or just ways to escape reality that are pleasant and enjoyable to you. Venus in the 12th house does that. Or if you have to do anything with faraway countries, Venus in the 12th house guarantees things will go well there. But, just Jupiter in your first house, the whole 12 months ahead, that's enough for me to know that things will be okay for you, no matter what. And there is, of course, Mercury going retrograde in your second house. Don't do some financial risks, especially after the middle of the month while Mercury is retrograde, something totally new. So taking your money and putting in a brand new investment, for example. Instead, you might have to rearrange something, rebudget, think of a different plan for the second part of July and the first part of August about expenses, finances. You might have some surprise uh, expense, for example, for something, because Mercury, when it's retrograde, we have one plans and it's in your second house for our money or even for our family. It's connected to family. And Mercury goes retrograde and says, well, you need to reconsider different options now, maybe from a different perspective, or you need to do something else. But otherwise, every time I had Mercury retrograde in the second house, I tend to maybe take an old product, give it life back, and introduce it back again. Or maybe I revise where we spend, how we spend, and rethink it, and maybe cut off a few subscriptions that I forgot about or I don't use, reorganize such things. So this is a good time for taking stock, inventory for your finances, for your clothes and possessions that you own. Throw out the old ones from the middle of the month, or give them to someone, or take old ones and customize them so you can use them again. Not only clothes, this is any kind of valuables as well. And of course, there is also the new moon in Leo, which is something new. So there might be a new source of income or idea that comes to you from the end of the month after the 24th onwards, or a new source of resources of some sort. I don't know, painting materials or something new, something valuable that you acquire. So there's both something old and something new here. Something old with Mercury retrograde, something new with the new moon. Yeah, it's just that appears. But I would advise you not to apply the new thing that comes as an idea until just to research it, investigate it while Mercury is still retrograde. And from the beginning of August somewhere, it starts moving direct. And then the very interesting thing is that Uranus is moving into your 12th house on the 17th, I think, was it? Okay, the dates I don't have. Oh no, it's already on the 7th. On the 7th of July, Uranus moves into your 12th house, where it will stay for the next 4 or 5 months, then will dip back into your 11th house, and then to move into your 12th house for 7 years. So keep this video somewhere where you can come back to it and reference it for the future, so you can see how Uranus in the 12th house will affect you. Well, if you look at it, Uranus here in the 12th house, it doesn't make a direct aspect to Cancer. It's like behind you. This is the first house. It's like in your blind spot, so to speak. But many Cancers, especially Cancer Sun people, tend to have planets in Gemini. They might have Venus or Mercury there. Or you might have planets in Sagittarius or planets in Pisces and in Virgo. Then Uranus will oppose or square or conjunct those planets. And it's very potent. And even from the 12th house, where usually a planet is not noticed, it will make the big awakening and big changes in your life. But I explained this in my webinar, Uranus in Gemini, which is 5 hours long, only $20, I think it was, for those who managed to catch the early bird offer. Explained how Uranus, through real life stories, funny, some always with a silver lining, what Uranus wants to do for absolutely every aspect. Say maybe you have your Cancer, but you have your I don't know, not Venus, but maybe your moon in Sagittarius. Uranus will oppose you. And I tell you real life stories of what happened to people. What is the silver lining of it? What is the purpose of it? Absolutely every transit I cover, and every house, very in depth. So if you want it, I put the link below in the description. You can get that Uranus in Gemini webinar that you own for life, and that you can always check for every Uranus transit. And you don't need to know absolutely any astrology. I lead you from every step how to see what year exactly Uranus will affect you, and what degree your planet is, and how it will manifest. But Uranus in the 12th house generally can indicate, because Uranus is awakening, and the 12th house is sleeping. What are we going to do, awake or sleep? Well, it can give some disruptions with sleep. So now Venus is in your 12th house in July, you have best good sleep. I'm kidding. But you can have a lot more vivid dreams. Or those of you who do any spiritual, like meditation, lucid dreaming, or trying to do astral travel, any spiritual kind of activities. These are 12th house to penetrate into the invisible world, so develop aura vision. Well, Uranus there will speed up that process for you over the next years. You can really up your psychic abilities, your clairvoyant abilities, or ability to download information. Even if you're not someone who astrally travels, you can be someone that just in their dreams, you get answers. I know someone, he's my neighbor, and I check his chart. And he has Uranus in his 12th house from the ascendant. And he dreams the solution to all the problems because he's a car mechanic and he doesn't believe in anything spiritual, nothing. He says, oh, this bullshit, don't tell me. And then he comes and says, once per week at least, I dream exactly what I have to do to fix a car, which I'm stuck with. I'm like, and you say you're not psychic? Come on, man. And that's what somehow Uranus can play out, like because our departed loved ones communicate to us through our dreams, or our higher consciousness tries to give us answers. So there can be sudden realizations for a lot of you through your dream life for the next 8 years of getting very much into learning, studying such kind of esoteric matters, because Uranus is very knowledgeable planet. It's excitable. 12th house is mysteries, hidden knowledge of any sort, esoteric, and Uranus rules esoteric knowledge. Or if you're an artist, you can just download suddenly visions, solutions, ideas. It's more internal. This Uranus in the 12th house, unless you have planets in Gemini or Pisces or Virgo, Sagittarius, can be very subtle influence that no one sees, like a big change happening in your external life, but inside of you, something is awakening, a new perspective. Or it can be, for sometimes, it can be sudden changes by relocating to foreign countries, so having opportunities in faraway places and abroad. That can be because 12th house is far away, abroad. Or it can be even remembering past lifetimes, or having some kind of very other such phenomena that ghosts, hopefully not ghosts, but even that. Or it can be not only your intuition, 12th house is other stuff, foreign places. Well, I can't think now. Check out the video. My mind is a bit slow, but check out and you can see how exactly Uranus through the 12th house, especially from your ascendant. If it's from your moon or sun, to a lesser degree, but it's still potent. It's still quite potent there as well. Now I'm trying to remember what happened when Uranus was in my 12th house. I was too young back then. Anyway, thank you so much, Cancers. Hope that was good for you. Check the links below if you're interested, either in Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries for the next 2 years, or Uranus in Gemini. I've made short 5-hour, 3-hour webinars that are super affordable for them. Thank you. Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. Leo, a lot of activity in your sign. Mercury is going retrograde there. There is a new moon in July in your sign. But let's start with the other planets. First, Venus is in your 11th house the whole month. 11th house is social house of friendships, of social get-togethers, or conferences, or festivals, such kind of stuff where large groups of people get together or friends get together. And Venus says here, if you go to such events, it will be pleasant, it will be enjoyable, it will be very, even something good can happen. Who knows, even love, because Venus is the planet of love, or some beneficial connection. So maybe you can connect to like-minded people and have enjoyable time, not necessarily in person. Sometimes it can be through, social media. But yeah, good things are coming from there. Plus, the 11th house is the house of goals and dreams and large projects. If you're doing any large-scale projects as well, they can be smooth sailing during that month in such matters. Also, it's gains, reward, salary. For some of you, if you have your own business, that can be the income of the business that is improved. It's only the duration of this month, but still good to know. Then Mars, the whole month, will be in your second house, another financial house, actually. So it's making you very active there. So you can be more proactive for thinking of projects, that can secure more financial security for you, or you can be more proactive in securing or finding new materials or different kind of, if you're using the second house, is say if you have a business, you might need some materials for it and so on. But also Mars can indicate some expenses, especially since Mars will join with the South Node. Some unpaid dues, for example, that appear. And Mars joins with the South Node around the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd of July. So there might be some unexpected, let's say, expense around that time, or maybe it's because South Node means something karma from the past or some event from the past and it might be that to you something is being paid off as well around that time. Or also it might be that you, some object from the past or valuable that you in some way find it or procure it. But you have to be careful because it's an explosive combination, the Mars and the South Node. South Node is about losing things. Is the tail of the dragon, where you excrete that you don't damage or some valuable as well, that you don't break it. But it's nothing too serious, because it's not in your sign, for example, or it can be dangerous for you or anything like that. And Mars with the South Node, because the second house is connected to the words we use around those days, because it's the mouth, the words around those days, you might be provoked to use more harsh, more critical words with the South Node. And especially if, things that have not been said need to be said out then, but try to, not to escalate it too much. I'm just warning you, the worst case scenario. But otherwise, it's just Mars in the second house, more money coming in, more money going out as well, or you're arranging something in regards to finances and so on, or being more proactive there. What else? Let me think. Well, Venus, Mars, we spoke. Oh yeah, there is a new moon in your sign on the 24th. So before the 24th of July, you might feel, because also the sun is in the 12th house with Jupiter. So for a big part of the month, let's say till the 23rd, you might feel a bit more tired. You might need a bit more time to sleep, and Jupiter will give you the opportunity with the sun in the 12th house. And you might even have in your dreams, and I'm a Leo moon, so my dreams started becoming, since Jupiter entered the 12th house from my moon, so vivid, and good. Usually I have scary dreams. These times the dreams are more positive. I usually dream situations that I was stuck in, that I had difficulties in. Now I find the solution in the dreams, and now I'm able to heal the situation there. So this continues for 12 months, for 11 months more for you. And in July, and the sun will be there. So it's time to kind of, especially the first 20 days of July, take it more easy, rest, escape, go to the seaside if you can. It's in Cancer, the 12th house, near water. You have a lot of intuitive insights, very intuitive this month, even though it's also social. You're not like hermits, just meditating and dreaming and getting insights. Venus in the 11th house, there is social, pleasant interactions as well. And then the sun from the 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th enters Leo. So you're going to start being renewed, especially the full moon is on the 23rd or 24th, depending which you are. So the very beginning of Leo, the sun and the moon meet at the first 2 degrees in Leo. So if you're 23rd of July, 24th of July born, 25th, 26th of July, even 27th of July, or if your ascendant or moon is in the first 4 or 5 degrees, 6, 7 degrees of Leo, let's even tell it first 10 degrees, the new moon is very potent and activating for you, a powerful new beginning of some sort, and it's exactly opposite Pluto. So there can be a new beginning through some crisis or through some kind of a intense emotional experience. Don't be scared. The new moon wants to bring something new that you can grow over the next months and so on. But because Pluto is opposing it, it can be triggered by some more deeper emotions in some way, or by discovering some secret, or by some deep realization. But Pluto can also make you more motivated and ambitious to follow through with those new inspirations, those new insights that come to you, because new moon is new insights in your sign, new wave of life force, and Pluto intensifies and focuses your will to act on those new inspirations, for example. So it's not necessarily negative either. But yeah, just be careful, especially the more earlier born Leos, that you don't enter some kind of a conflict, because Pluto is in the 7th house, opposing the sun and the moon in the 1st degrees of Leo. Even for later Leos, later born Leo, sun, moon, or rising, there can be some kind of a clash or tension around the 24th, 23rd, 24th, 25th. If you feel more emotional, you know what it is, but you also might feel provoked by another to start a new beginning in your life, provoked or challenged or inspired or pushed. I don't know, with the words with the Pluto, have to be like, there is a little bit of, or manipulated into starting some new beginning, or to say, I'll show you, you'll see, you motivated me now, I'll show you. Or maybe to do something difficult through a partner, together with a partner, who knows, it can play out like that. But this renewal comes towards the end of the month, and you're ready to shine, to follow ambitious goals, and to come out on the scene again, to be more visible. So preserve your forces till then. And by the way, Leo, you are quite, let's say, put under a lot of pressure in the last couple of months, because Mars has been in your sign in big part of May, in June, most of June, being in your sign put us, a lot of Leos, under a lot of pressure, a lot of surprises, shocks. Sometimes Mars is such a planet, stresses, challenging, having to do stuff, or just being stressful sometimes. But Mars is not in your sign anymore. And the first part of July, the first 20 days, well-deserved break, resting, and Mercury is the whole month in your sign, though. And then towards the end of the month, as I said, those new beginnings and new life force comes into you. So go on the holiday till the 23rd or something like that. But Mercury will be the whole month in your sign, and then the whole August. So July and August, Mercury never stays more than 20 days in a sign, or 15 sometimes. But this time, because it will go retrograde on the 18th, and move back to the beginning of Leo, and then move back. So from around 15 degrees to 4 degrees, it goes retrograde. So this month, especially the second part, can be time when you also reconnect with people from the past, someone you haven't seen in a while, for example, because that's what Mercury is: social contacts, friends. I think last year, again, we had Mercury retrograde in Leo. Was it July? Was it August? I think it was more towards August. So things can slow down a little bit for you when things are retrograde, when there is a retrograde planet in your sign, but there is also a new moon in your sign. So yes, you'll be introspecting on some things from the past. You have to finish up some old projects, or maybe you have to change your plans. You've planned something, I'm going here, I'm doing this. Well, there'll be surprises, but they're not going to be as shocking, they're not going to be shocking or stressful. Mars is not making hard aspects. Mercury is making only pleasant aspects from Leo. So you just have to be more flexible. And it can be also about traveling back to a place you've been to before Mercury retrograde. Mercury is travel or movement, or it might be about making sure you secure passwords, or making sure you're finish some project, social media, writing, business project. It can be anything that requires your skills, whether it's hand skills, mental skills that you've developed, or you might be working on some project mercurial, which can be some negotiations or some documents or papers that you have to complete that you haven't completed before the second part of July and into August, or arrange something. Mercury is a manager, arranger of things. And because it's retrograde, it's either you've put it off or you didn't complete it fully, or you need to fix something, change it a little bit, or you might be working on something written, a website, a presentation, on some documents. You might be preparing some, I don't know, media project as well, marketing project. And the retrograde period is still very good for business and work. It's just that you need to do things a bit differently than you originally planned, or to correct some things, or sometimes things get a bit delayed. But because there is a new moon towards the end of the month, I think there'll be also new things coming to you. So new things, you're ending some things, completing them, fixing them, getting in touch with people from the past as well. And at the same time, something new comes. But the whole June, July, and August, very mercurial months for you. A lot of movement, a lot of communication, socializing, and you might revise some social connections. Mercury retrograde in your sign, you might say, I don't want those people in my life. I don't think it's going to be too much drama. I mean, Leo does things dramatically, but you might think, okay, I'm not going to follow those people on social media, or I might block someone, or someone at my work pisses me off. So I'm, or some friends that you might want to change because a bit of the dynamic will have to speak out some things that you didn't speak out before. So there you go. I think the most important thing for you is this new moon in Leo and the Mercury retrograde that we talked about. But the whole, how Mercury retrogrades go normally, so you're prepared. It's not a shock. And the big event is that Uranus is moving from Taurus, where it squared Leo for the past 8 years. So definitely Leo's had some shock or big surprise sometime in the last 7, 8 years, exactly when Uranus squared the sun, moon, or ascendant, some things, Uranus squared my moon. I was moving a lot, and my hormones, female hormones, the moon, were all over the place. And now we're left alone. Unexpected things for health, for especially career, for they were left alone because Uranus moves from a sign where it squares Leo to a sign where it sextiles Leo. Now Uranus will be making supportive aspects to Leo for the next 7, 8 years. It goes for 5, 6 months now in your 11th house, but it dips back again into your 10th. Only the very last degrees Leo will feel the sudden shocks of Uranus that want to awaken us. But a lot of problems will start going away, especially problems of uncertainty, of things being unstable, will start stabilizing, and there'll still be changes in your life for the next 8 years, and new things entering, which is Uranus, but in a way that is not disruptive to you. At the moment Uranus squared my moon, my daughter broke her hand. It's like, moon is family, and me as a mother, Uranus squares, bam. And my hormones go all over the place because I stress. But Uranus now is leaving Leos alone. So there will be less shocks in personal life if it's your moon is in Leo, in career, if it's your sun is in Leo, or health, or ascendant as well. And goes into the 11th house, where it loves to be. That's the natural house of Uranus, the 11th house. It's a house that will connect you to a lot of people over the next 8 years. And you'll become a lot more social. Whether you want it or no, you'll be put in situations where you have to interact with large groups of people. Some of you might organize seminars. Some of you might attend seminars or festivals, even if you're someone who never liked festivals, for example. But that's 8 years, for a long time. Uranus will awaken you to new people. You'd open your eyes and see, wow, there's so many interesting people, and the way they live is so different. And those people to introduce you to a different way of how life can be. And 11th house is benefactors. So those people, new friends, new social environment, whether online or whether in person, will introduce new opportunities to you, and that make you feel more, and these will be more truthful friendships. So Uranus through the 11th house can cut off a lot of friendships from your life. It can cut off people because they just outlived their place in your life. And it happens quick. Maybe they move suddenly, maybe you have a fallout. If Uranus is making hard aspect, for example, to planets, if you have in Sagittarius or in Virgo and Pisces, you might have like a fallout with friends or your social circle, or be banned from your club, country club, or whatever, or from your political party, or you might end up like, I don't want to be part of this group anymore. I support this group. No, I don't want, like, and you join totally different groups of people that are like-minded, that are more attuned to your inner truths right now, that are more authentic for your life. So even if some people disappear in your life, and I'm not saying it's going to happen from July fully immediately. I mean, you have 8 years for this transit to unfold, but trust that the people that appear in your life will be a revelation to you, like a divine gift, and they'll open your eyes to much more possibilities in life and opportunities. And there's, and the 11th house is one of the house of gains, financial. We talked about that. That's the salary you receive, or the money of the business you make, the turnover. Well, Uranus can suddenly shake things up there and allow you to be independent with such stuff, but also it can make it like, if you're used to consistent salary, it can feel stressful, because Uranus in the 11th, it's much more likely to do better with like commission based, or like a freelance, or in an inconsistent basis, for example. But also it can suddenly rise a lot of your income, especially if Uranus is, say, you have planets in Leo, or in Sagittarius, or in Libra, or in Aquarius, or Aries. Uranus is making sextiles and trines. And of course, in my webinar for Uranus in Gemini, I show you how to see where all your planets are, what degrees they are, what aspect Uranus will make to them. And I speak about each aspect. Say Uranus square your Venus, Uranus sextile your Saturn, Uranus opposition your Jupiter. And I give you real life stories and examples what happened. And because it's in your 11th house, all those changes that are happening in other areas of your life, the ultimate goal is to for you to discover your tribe, the 11th house, that with more authentic people. And the ultimate goal is also maybe to liberate you financially in some way of gains, and to increase your gainfulness. And you can be gainful through Uranian means as well. It might be through AI. It might be through Uranian things like esoteric knowledge, like astrology. It might be through social media. Uranus rules all of those media, internet, technological or esoteric subjects as well, or friends that are of this nature, Uranian, they're out there, or collaborations even, friends that are out there, friends that are very unusual, or that are ahead of their time, visionaries. Plus, you might be called in some way, Leo, to have a socially important role. Somehow, over the next 8 years, that large groups of people hear you. 11th house is the house of reaching many people, becoming part of an organism and reaching people. And you as a Leo, you're a natural leader. And don't forget that the Neptune-Saturn conjunction, which determines the next 35 years, is happening in July and in February 2026 in your 9th house. 9th house is a house of leadership and vision, of a teacher, of a guide. You might be called to a new mission, some of you, as a visionary, as a leader, or to bring knowledge to others. 9th house is the house of knowledge, to teach, to guide. And that will reach large groups of people, for example, foreign audience, the 9th house. Or you might have to be part of some large project. The 11th house is large, big projects that involve more people. That might be technological, something new. Uranus is something new, something very cutting edge that will reach large groups of people, that is tied in deeply with your ideologies and beliefs about the future. And Uranus in the 11th house gives you exclusively access to the pulse of society. What is trending? What is cool? You'd feel it intuitively. What is needed by society? So that's very good for business. If you're an inventor, if you're a businessman, the ideas, what exactly does need society? You'd have a vision for it. With Uranus in the 11th house is society trends. Uranus there is like fully in tune. What do you have to study? What do you have to do? What is going to be gainful? What is going to be popular? Or to have to expand and suddenly grow following, or you access to the whole world and to others. So to get involved in some projects that involve a lot of other people somehow. But I speak a lot more about that in my webinar. It's only $20, 5 hours of all the transits, all of Uranus, through all the houses. I tell a lot of interesting stories. And if you want, there is a link below. You can use it for all Uranus transits in your life. Thank you, Leo. Exciting times, rejuvenation towards the end of the month. Uranus in your 11th house, Saturn, Neptune in your 10th house with a new mission for your life as well that I spoke more about in the previous month videos. So thank you. Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. Virgo, the most noticeable influence for you this month is that Mars, the planet of action, the planet of that also can trigger us and anger, is in your sign the whole month together with the South Node. Mars transits your sign once every 2.5 years, and on the positive spectrum, it means it activates you for action. It activates you to become initiative, to get things done, especially difficult things that you've put, that you were like postponing because they need you to mobilize your energy, or to tackle new challenges that you were afraid to start before because you maybe didn't think you had the courage, you didn't think you had the strength or the energy. And now Mars gives you that push, that energy, that strength. And sometimes Mars can do it in not so pleasant ways by you getting angry and saying, okay, enough, I'm going to tackle this problem, I'm going to get this done, or I'm finally going to push myself into a new direction to do something, to be initiative. But sometimes, Mars can, usually its goal is to get us moving. And if you have nothing that you have like a purpose or a goal, people that have a goal or a purpose, say a business or some ambition, they would put their energy, their Mars, into that direction. They would harness the Mars energy in very productive ways, possibly. But sometimes, even when we have a goal, we might just feel this frustration of Mars. When you have a goal, at least you know where to put it. But if you don't have a goal or something where you know where to direct this extra energy of Mars, it's recommended that you're a bit more active. I mean, you don't have to go run marathons, but go for walks and maybe punch a few bags and to let this energy come out of you. And otherwise, you can use it in not so productive way. Mars can be also destructive. You can get into a fight with someone, into a power struggle. You can become reactive towards others. And so I ask you to be a bit more patient this month. But just remember, Mars is not just bad things. You can get a lot of things done. You can have more drive. You can build better muscle. You can start a workout routine or up your workout routine. Mars gives you willpower, but willpower, which is not channeled, becomes frustration, anger, and sometimes, especially if the anger and frustration is suppressed, it can come out like inflammation to the body, like some acute pains. It can come out like trigger of some acute chronic conditions as well, or some accident as well, or I don't know, sore throat. So there is the possibility of that as well. I wish you that you can all direct it in another way. Or sometimes someone frustrates us, some situation upsets us, and the body starts healing from this anger and this frustration by some inflammatory condition. It's a healing response. So yeah, if you can be, but be careful also when you're doing physical exertion, because Mars is with the South Node, and that's more accident prone generally. But otherwise, that's one good channel to direct it to get things done, to have busy days, do a lot of even physical things or mental work, because it's in Gemini. Gemini is more, sorry, Virgo is more of mental energy, but it has to be productive as well. Get a lot of work done, basically. And Mars is with the South Node. It's kind of, you might also end some karmic cycle, because the South Node, Mars and South Node meet once every 2 years, and they're not going to meet in Virgo again, possibly your whole life. Maybe in 20 years from now, it's a possibility. But otherwise, it's some kind of an ending, and especially coming out of suppressed anger to be released, because the South Node is the tail of the dragon, where you excrete things. So you might feel like you're going like a volcano that will explode, and that's because suppressed anger from maybe a long time ago is coming to the surface to be released. Go punch bags, go run through movement, or go pour it into something. Don't suppress it, But also it can mean that some stressful situation in your life can end, or some situation more of a Mars nature that can end as well. The South Node is to be completed, to end, like some problem that you culminate and complete after July that won't bother you after that. Another big event is that Venus, the whole month, is on top of your horoscope at the very peak of the chart. So despite of Mars here making you more hot-headed, Venus allows you to present a very charming face to the world. This is your public image, the 10th house. And look, Venus is the planet that's sitting highest on the horoscope, so it's more powerful than Mars. It's not directly in your sign, but it's in a very powerful position of your horoscope. So actually, reason, calmness, and goodwill can prevail, or just being, what's that word for, like taking the peaceful way, the peaceful solution, or more diplomatic situation, more diplomatic solution out of a situation. So you have a lot of help here, maybe a female figure, or a benevolent authority figure, not necessarily only female, can help you. Or if you're dealing with institutions or bosses, you're more likely to be to have good help from them, good response from them. And your 10th house is also your career, that Venus says things should go smoothly there. So if you have to present anything, for example, in regards to your career, or to speak with a boss, it's a good time this month because of this Venus on top of your chart. And Mars being in your first house will make you look more ambitious, more driven, more excited as well. But of course, they can be a bit of clashes sometimes. It's not necessarily always going to be smooth this month because of Mars. Also, you have quite a few planets in the 12th house. Mercury, the planet that rules you, will be in your 12th house. And from the 17th, 18th, 19th, it becomes retrograde, but it means it will be for 2 months in your 12th house. What does it mean? Well, be careful not to, because 12th house is the area of the horoscope that deals with the invisible, with losses. So, misplacing keys, misplacing possessions, losing papers, documents, phones, or kind of damaging. So this is the more the negative side, or miscommunications with others, like broken phone. You said something, they understood something, or don't also get involved yourself in gossips. So houses to gossip behind someone's back, because it can come to the surface. When Mercury goes retrograde, it can come to the surface. But also you can find out what someone or something has been hidden from you and they've been talking about, and it can come, or some missing piece of information can come to your knowledge, can come to your consciousness when Mercury is doing his whole long, dance there in the 12th house. So yeah, you can find out something that you are not aware of, which might be good as well. Or another way it can play out is that you might be traveling to faraway places, because Mercury's travel, 12th house is faraway places that you've been to before, for example, because Mercury is retrograde. Or you might get in touch with distant people from distant places that you haven't been in touch with. You might hear from some friends that are far, that live in another continent, in another country, and you can reconnect with them. Or you just might delve, because Mercury is to study, to learn more in depth into some more mystical, more spiritual knowledge and information, more psychological. You might do like a psychological reevaluation, thinking about what things you want to leave behind. 12th house is something to leave behind, and what you want to keep inside. You can have some powerful insights in regards to that, and you can even have conscious realizations about and understanding it consciously, because Mercury is our normal thinking to understand it. What are those things that make you stumble? What are those hidden enemies, as we call it? Very often, it's our own self-sabotaging behaviors that are our hidden enemies. But sometimes even they might be actual hidden enemies that pretend to be benevolent towards you, which is, and Mercury exposes those to you. Or you can really realize that certain habits or addictive behaviors, or maybe addiction to scrolling, to, because Mercury is especially connected to communications as well. And they might, you might be able to realize that you want to let go of some of those things, that you want to release and let go of certain communications, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But also, you can be very intuitive. Mercury in the 12th house for 2 months. You can get like very different insights than before, like intuitively. You're like, wow, how did this thought come into my mind? I didn't reach it logically. But you've almost feel the thoughts, and you almost feel the ideas. And you're almost like a channeling, that you might be channeling some information during that time. The invisible world of the 12th house, Mercury, your mind. You might even get communication of messages or information in your sleep or in your dream from departed loved ones, from your higher self, because Mercury, or you can even get in touch from someone from your past that has departed on the other side through a dream or through intuitive feeling or sign or something like that. Some communication from the other worlds, or even in your dreams. 12th house is other worlds, your dreams, and so on. So yeah, it's good to take to rest as well. That there is a new moon in your 12th house, or rest, Virgo. Even though Mars will make you want to push yourself as well, you have to do both. Especially for Mars, it's like do something physical, or to release like sport, and then have prolonged periods of rest or holiday. For example, 12th house is holiday, escape from the responsibilities of the world, so to speak. Switch off your phones, Mercury retrograde in the 12th house, so no one can find you. Disappear. 12 houses disappear. You're allowed to disappear this month if you want to. Oh, that's my little brother and his wife. They're having a baby. Definitely they'll be disappearing. And I can see with Mars through her sign Virgo, that will be like, the pain, of having a baby, but also the 12th house, a lot of sleep and a lot of rest and a lot of being kind of taking it easy behind the scenes and so on. And of course, the Mercury retrograde is like rearranging. It kind of rearranges your plans, your normal ways of doing things. But for a little bit, you might feel a bit lost, or just going down with the stream. Go down with the stream, But Venus here is, because it's on top of your chart, is kind of really taking care of things, as I said. And then the other big event, Virgos, is that Uranus is moving from your 9th house to your 10th house on the 7th of July. It's going to be there sometime till, was it October or November, till November, I think, or even December. And then it comes back again into your 10th house, so only for a few months, and comes back into your 10th house. Well, what does Uranus, and it will stay there for 7-8 years. So this video, you can use it for the next 7-8 years to realize, what does Uranus want from me in the 10th house? Uranus feels very comfortable in Gemini. So the changes will happen with more ease. And Uranus want to free you when it comes to your career. For some of it can mean being able to retire, being freed from worldly responsibilities. The 10th house is worldly responsibility. Being freed. For others, it might be becoming your own boss. So you are free from answering to an authority figure sometime over the next 8 years. I cannot exactly tell you. I need more specifically a horoscope, but it will happen for many Virgos. For others, it might be, so the 10th house is your career. So it might be going into a direction of more independence, like freelancer or having your own business, even if you have no idea now how to do it now, it will come. Don't worry. Uranus surprises. Usually it comes like a bam, like a opportunity, inspiration, or shock. Say you lose your job and you have no option but to start freelancing or finding another career. And initially, especially if you're resisting or if you're not in the right field professionally, because Uranus does not stand in authenticity. Something, if it's a planet that doesn't tolerate too many rules. It doesn't tolerate to be told what to do. So you can become more rebellious, and especially if you have like hefty bosses or circumstances at your work that feel limiting, that makes you feel like you can't unfold your original creative voice, that you cannot be heard, that is just not the right field for you. And if you're resisting that, it can be through a disruption, like suddenly you get fired or suddenly the business is not doing well. So like there can be instability, volatility, but ultimately Uranus wants to free you. So you can find something that is way more truthful to you, that is way more, or if you're in the right field of career, maybe to somehow modernize your approach, because Uranus is a very modern, progressive, futuristic planet, maybe to bring in AI, maybe to bring in new technologies, maybe to bring in into your work and into your career and into your image, into your business, anything of the new things. And Uranus is also connected to anything to do with esoteric knowledge, with science. Anyone who is, say, an astrologer or a scientist or who works in AI or digital or social media is also Uranus, and new technologies. They can have a big rise in their career over the next 8 years. They can be dominating their fields. They can have very quick going upwards. But if you're not in such fields and you're Virgo in some way, and you don't intend to in any way to become self-employed or independent, which is another energy of Uranus, then you might experience vicissitudes, ups and downs, changing jobs more often. Or you might be asked at least to incorporate into your activities or into your work some new technologies like Uranus or more social media or something like that, but otherwise Uranian careers will definitely thrive. But Uranus might be doing some challenging aspects from the 10th house. If it's if you have planets in Sagittarius, Uranus is opposing them, or in Virgo planets, when it squares your sun, moon, or ascendant, your social status can suddenly shift and change. Like overnight, from married to single, from single to married, from employed to unemployed, from employed to a business owner, something big in your, or planets in Pisces as well. But in my webinar, Uranus in Gemini, which is 5 hours, I mention absolutely every possible aspect Uranus can make, sextile to Saturn, trine to your own Uranus, or opposition to your own Uranus, or sextile to your Venus, or square to your Mercury, or square to your Sun, and so on. And I show you how to find in your horoscope exactly what planets you have, what degrees, and which year exactly Uranus will do the aspect, and whether it's going to be the easy, very kind of smooth ingress into this new territory, or a bit more rocky. And I give you a lot of personal stories, how it unfolds in the lives of people around me that I've observed when they had Uranus transit. So you can feel how it plays out in life, and always the silver lining, what is the good out of it, and what Uranus actually wanted to do. Because sometimes when we're in the middle of strong Uranus transits, we kind of like, we feel like it's nonstop changes, and we're like, why? So having this direction keeps you grounded, like to realize what the purpose of this is. It's only $20, and it has 100 pages of written PDF material from my book, the transit book, the transit Bible that I also offer. So you get a lot of material there, and you can use it for life. But yeah, Uranus in the 10th house goal for the next 8 years is this, or maybe to change field into more Uranian career-wise. But if it's your moon in Cancer, in Virgo, then it's more about your personal life that Uranus will make changes in your interpersonal relationship. I just went through Uranus squaring my moon in the 10th house. And we changed place to live quite a few times. We bought 4 or 5 new places, and we didn't know where to live and kept going. And finally, Uranus leaving, my moon alone. And finally, we decided where we're going to live. There's a bit more stability. Or for your sun, it's usually connected to career, to your goals, that there will be sudden opportunities for you to make your, your desires, because the sun is like what our free will and how we want to create. If your sun is in Virgo, how we want to create the life of our dreams. And the sun, usually through career, through the goals we have, Uranus there can really shift suddenly overnight the direction of those into one that is more aligned with you. So enjoy this month, Virgo. It's on fire for you. Mars is in your sign. And yeah, it's a bit, and also there is rest with the planets in the 12th house as well. So it's not all go, go, go. But thank you so much. Or rising July 2025. Libra, as you can see, that's you here. This is the horizon. All the planets are pretty much above the horizon for you. So very visible month, very active. Venus, the whole month, is in your 9th house, the luckiest house, protecting you from there. So you'll have more luck, and it's good time to travel if you want to travel somewhere abroad or for longer distance. It's good time if you're trying to arrange some documents for far away living, for a distant country, or even for legal matters. It's just the duration is just for this month. It's also a good time to study or learn something, to connect with more cultured, elevated people from different social status or different, more elevated, more like role models or guides. So even to dive in such material, you enjoy that, you'll get inspiration, or even to meet love abroad for some of you, who knows, or someone who is foreigner, or to connect with more selected society in a sense. Plus, you're going to have a lot of planets in Leo, which is a social house. So this is events with people, friends, and Mercury goes retrograde there around the 17th or 18th, 19th. So it means you can reconnect with friends you haven't seen for a while, or acquaintances, or other, people that you've known from before. You can hear from them, or with older siblings, for example. That's another way Mercury retrograde doesn't have to be drama and fighting with friends. It can be just seeing someone you haven't seen in a while. But of course, if you have some planets in Aquarius or Scorpio or Taurus, Mercury might square some of them, and some things can come out, especially with people in your life, because it's a social house, the 11th house, where you have to say some things with friends, you have to clarify certain things, you have to decide who you want in your social environment. You might decide to switch off from certain social media and to rethink and to withdraw back from social media. And sometimes it might be triggered by some kind of a escalation. You have a fight with someone online or with a friend, and you decide to rethink, do you want those people in your life, or at least to step back, or at least to redefine the terms of your relationship, or 11th house is also the house of gains, and they can be some of you that might be working in business for some, and it's also big plans or big, let's say, projects that you might be working on, that Mercury retrograde requires you the second part of July and the first part of August, either to put on hold or to redo in some way, or to tweak somehow. So they might have to be redone a few times, but usually by the time Mercury turns direct in the 11th, you can have better gainfulness, better rewards, for example, because it's rewards, gains, or bonus of some sort, but you have to put a bit more effort for it, because Mercury's retrograde is putting extra effort, being more careful, more meticulous with details. And 11th house is business house, connected, or if you're working on some project with a bigger group of people as well, they might be focused there. Plus, There is a new moon in your 11th house on the 24th, 23rd, 24th. So not only old friends you can connect with or people from the past or that you haven't seen for a while, new ones can appear also in your life in some way because it's a new moon, new beginnings. You're also going to have Saturn turning retrograde around the 13th in your 7th house, but probably more like early born Libras will feel this. The early born sun, moon, or rising, the first 5-6 degrees. It might be a time to really rethink your relationships and what you want to do with your partner or how you approach partnership. Retrograde planet is withdraw back, rethink, try to see if you can do it in a different way, or try to see if you want to recommit further down. You know, there might be some dilemma about relationships or other people that you have to solve. But but only the very early Virgos can feel that. Sorry, not Virgos, Libras. Later born Libras might feel it next time Saturn goes retrograde, next year or the year after that. So yeah, and Mars is in your 12th house. So you might be active again. Venus is in the 9th house, foreign countries, Mars in the 12th house, which is again connected to foreign countries. You might be active in a foreign country somehow. Something can happen on a faraway place, but also 12th house is the house of sleep. So it might be a bit harder for some of you to sleep when Mars is in the 12th house. Usually their suppressed anger can show up in their sleep. Maybe someone hurt you, as a child or in high school, and you felt vulnerable and you couldn't defend yourself, or you suppress the anger. You might be dreaming about such situations where all the anger comes out, but in the subconscious, and that's your subconscious trying to heal itself. Just don't think you're murderous inclinations or something. It's trying to express that suppressed anger. Also, the 12th house is the house of hidden enemies, and the south node is with Mars. So, and the south node uncovers things that were hidden or connected to the past or to the past life as well. So, if there is someone who is showing one face to you, but they actually are more malevolent behind your back, or they've been doing something behind your back, the South Node Mars conjunction can reveal it because it's in the 12th house of secrets. So for some of you, it can appear this way. Another way, 12th house is our addictive patterns. Mars with the South Node there, completing a cycle, starting a new one. It can be easier to let go because South Node is to let go of some addictive behaviors that are more compulsive. Like Mars is quite compulsive. Mars rules smoking, for example, because you're burning something. Mars rules, I think, also alcohol, because alcohol they call it fire water, Mars. And it can be, first, it can escalate, but to the point where you are over it. And it's like, that's it. I want to be finished with this kind of behaviors, and hopefully a way to release it after that. All right. But don't forget that Jupiter is in your 10th house and will be there another 11 months, sorry. So it's very, opportunities will come in regards to your career, in regards to the direction in your life you want to go. It's not just in July, but till next summer for those in the Northern Hemisphere, or next winter for those in the Southern Hemisphere who are Libras. They can be very good developments through authority figures in your life, for work expansion and growth and being recognized and feeling seen, your status increasing, your status improving as well in some way, your productivity, the appreciation as well. Maybe it's some kind of a opportunity to be promoted and so on. But this month, yeah, there is social activity. There is luck with Venus in the 9th house. There is a bit of Mars here in the 12th house that I said how it can play out. But, might not everyone has hidden enemies or such things. And the biggest event as well is that Uranus is moving into your 9th house. For the past 8 years, it was in your 8th house. And now it's moving where it's going to start supporting Libras for 4 or 5 months this year. Then it moves back to the 8th house for 3, 4 months, and it then moves fully for 7 years into your 9th house. Beautiful position of Uranus. Uranus will be trining Libra. It will make you consciousness expand. You start believing more. You find new interesting knowledge that will fascinate you, that will engage your energy. It will be almost like removing some kind of, they say we look through a porthole. This is our uh, worldview, and it's almost like the porthole, if it has been foggy or unclear, it becomes bigger and you see way bigger reality around you. So you start believing a lot more things are possible. Also, it opens the doors for years of traveling, easier access to foreign places, for example, if you want, or interacting, because Uranus is a very social planet, interacting with people for many years ahead, data from foreign places, 9th house, data from more elevated status in life, which is also 9th house, data more educated, more cultured, or um, maybe discovering suddenly a teacher, a role model for many years. So getting fascinated with studies like astrology. Uranus through the 9th house is beautiful for learning astrology or human design or learning AI. 9th house is education, becoming even teaching about such things, guiding others or teaching others about new technologies, about esoteric knowledge, which are all ruled by Uranus, or teaching others or guiding others about, I don't know, I can't think of other stuff right now. Also, Uranus in the 9th house will, when it's trining you, anything Uranian will be very positive for Libra for the next 7, 8 years. Especially when it exactly trines your sun, moon, or rising. So crypto, the new technologies, the digital stuff, the social media, AI, or anything esoteric, anything alternative in knowledge. It's almost like, and the 9th house is the house of the future, and Uranus is the planet of future. So for some of you, it can unlock almost like clairvoyant-like abilities, maybe not necessarily seeing stuff, but really feeling what's coming in the future, really knowing what's next. Trust it. It will be true, and it will bring big opportunities for you. But if Uranus is making some hard aspect from your 9th house, maybe you have planets in Sagittarius, maybe in Pisces or in Virgo, so it's squaring or opposing them, there can be some shakeups, especially towards your worldview. Maybe you've always supported some political party that you have ideal from. 9th house is your ideals, your beliefs, or maybe you've been programmed to believe in a religion of some sort and to follow it and not question it. Ooh, Uranus in your 9th house will make you question and suddenly break with any kind of belief systems, whether it's political, whether it's ideological, whether it's spiritual or scientific worldview of the worldview, and to take you to the next stage, to take you to a way of seeing reality that is way more authentic for you, way more closer to the truth, through more wisdom. Uranus is divine wisdom, divine knowledge, divine knowledge. So in the house of higher knowledge, you'll be to be pouring on you, but there might be some existential crisis at the moment uh, um, that rearranges all your beliefs. So it might be, for example, you suddenly have to live in a foreign country, and that changes all your belief system. And say maybe you were Muslim and you couldn't accept Jewish people, Christians, or whatever, and Uranus moves to your 9th house, and suddenly you become, because Uranus is very open-minded planet, and it shows you the truth. Or maybe you're Christian, or maybe you're racist. I don't know. Maybe you've grown up in some environment that you would judge, but your xenophobia and fear of foreigners will disappear, and fear of different religions and worldviews will disappear, and other people of such, other backgrounds very different than you will open up your mindset and will offer opportunities for you. But also your worldviews, if they were narrow, they can suddenly be broken apart, and you see like, wow, like you see through the matrix type of thing, like Katniss broke the dome in the Katniss Everdeen broke the dome in the Hunger Games, and turned out this world they were in was just like a fake construction. Well, these things are very possible when Uranus transits the ninth house. There's a lot more things with Uranus in the ninth house. But, I have the webinar that is 5 hours long, Uranus in Gemini, which speaks about every possible transit Uranus can make for you. And even if you don't know any astrology, you just know, oh, I'm a Libra sun, I'll teach you how to calculate your chart. There it shows very easy how to see all the planets where you have them, their degrees, and which year exactly Uranus will aspect them. And is it going to be a challenging aspect? And what happens, say Uranus opposing your Saturn in Sagittarius. So it's opposing your Uranus in Sagittarius. So Uranus trining your sun in Libra or sextiling your moon in Leo. And I give stories for all those possible transits, how they play out in the life of people I've known, and always the silver lining, what it is and what you can expect and how to prepare. And also 100 pages of written text about from my transit Bible, way more even more in depth from a different perspective, each transit of Uranus through houses and to natal planets that you own for life for just $20. And I know you'll be thirsty for knowledge, Libras, with Uranus in your ninth house for many years ahead. So great time to study. And don't forget, Jupiter is in your 10th house. So new career horizons are appear to you, new social status improved, and respect from others will appear over the next 12 months. So thank you. July 2025 for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Scorpio, this month, we're going to have, first of all, your planet Mars. Wherever it goes, you put a lot of energy there. It will be in your 11th house, social interactions, maybe festivals, maybe going out with friends. You can be much more active, or membership in clubs, or maybe you can be more active online with other groups of like-minded people. Maybe you go protest because Mars is a bit more angry planet. Go protest somewhere or get involved in social activism. Or 11th house is what's happening in the world. This is the globe, global influence. You might be way more invested in following what's happening into the world and following the developments there, even contributing in some way collectively, who knows? Or maybe just, I don't know, going and some practical, because it's Virgo where Mars says something practical to help families, maybe with the friends or with organizations, build houses for them, like Habitat for Humanity or something like that. So these are the very high manifestations of Mars in your 11th house. With the South Node there as well. But also it can manifest in other ways. You breaking up with friends and you having some arguments online with people, acquaintances, not necessarily just close friends, colleagues or people online. That Mars there with the South Node is quite explosive. And especially around the days they conjunct together, 18, 19, 20, 21st, 22nd, they're very close together. And be careful not to be part of big mobs then and large groups of people, because it might be a bit, Mars South Node, it's kind of like accident prone combination. So just, or going and doing something stupid with friends, that friends tempt you into something stupid, or you might just decide to end some friendships around that time or not just friendships, but affiliations with groups, and because South Node is to end something and to finish a cycle and to release it. The South Node is the tail of the dragon where you excrete, and maybe some troublesome friends and acquaintances to end it with it. But otherwise, on the high octave, it makes you very motivated to change the world, to help those in the world around you, to get active in altruistic causes, for example, or if you're a business person, that would be, or if you're a media or kind of person with influence, to be very active, to work on some projects. 11th house is big project. Mars is be active. South Node is to complete it, to finish it, or to be active proactively search for clients proactively, search for new markets proactively. This is all 11th house work. Proactively search for new followers. It can play this way, but with the South Node as well, you might decide that certain aspects of your business or your plan need to be reworked, released, let go of. Then Scorpio, we're going to have Mercury retrograde in your 10th house from around the 18th, 19th, something like that, 17th, 18th, 19th. But the whole month, Mercury stays in your Leo, in your 10th house, and then in August as well. So you have Mercury, the planet of your mind, of your skills, in the house of career. So some of you might be very busy with some work project that they have to finish, that they have to correct and edit, especially that requires mercurial skills, intellectual skills, communicative skills, skills of hands, skills of mind, knowledge, information. So you might be busy with that. And with the retrograde period, you might have to redo it or have to fix something or some delays, but it's not necessarily means it's bad, because the final result might be much better, because you'd see that project, that work that you're doing from a different angle, or you might have to negotiate or renegotiate something with a boss or authority figure. Or you might, or another way it can play out, maybe you've applied for a job before Mercury goes retrograde, you haven't heard from them, and suddenly you hear back from them for a job that you've applied for before, some old project. You pick up to revive it, to fix it, to make it better, to change something. Or maybe you start questioning your work, because Mercury retrograde is more introspective. It starts asking, are the conditions of my career, my work, the direction am I going, are they good, or can they be better? Mercury retrograde likes to research to find better alternatives, and maybe you think, maybe I can incorporate something else into my work, or maybe I can apply for a new job. But you do it when Mercury turns direct, which is from August in some point. And during the Mercury retrograde period, you examine different options, alternative ways it can be done. Or, as I said, you go back to old projects you haven't finished. And sometimes I've seen it, it's like some projects just get delayed and especially if they're connected to career. Some things just, mercurial things like arranging papers, documents, mental work, uh, gets delayed or put on hold for some reason, or has to be reworked somehow differently. And the final result, again, can be wonderful, much better than what you had before. Venus is in Gemini the whole month. And by the way, I want to tell you, no matter what's happening, Scorpios, Jupiter is trining you. When Jupiter holds a trine to your sun or to your moon or to your ascendant, there is always protection, especially to your health, to your overall well-being. And Jupiter is in the luckiest house, the ninth house, till next July 2026. So no matter what other things are happening, you are protected the whole next 11 months. Somehow God is looking out for you, and you'd feel you're lucky. You're at the right place at the right time. I won't stop repeating that for every month. So you remember the big picture, that you're protected. Every time Jupiter is in the ninth house, it brings expansion, growth, new point of view, new opportunities that you didn't even know were possible. It's like if you thought that was possible, Jupiter through your ninth house makes you realize actually that much more is possible, and start making it happen. And it's green light with Jupiter in the ninth house for foreign relocation, foreign trips for a whole year ahead, for studying, for learning, for teaching. But yes, but we were going back to the 10th house. There is Mercury retrograde in the 10th house. You might be reconsidering something about career, work, or dealing with some institutions or people in authority, having talk out certain matters there. But there is also a new moon in your 10th house. At the same time, July 25th 23rd, 24th, new moon in Leo. So something new can also come to you in regards to your worldly responsibilities and duties and career. And the really big event, Scorpio, is that Uranus is moving from your seventh house, where for the last 7-8 years it's been, since 2017-18, Uranus have been directly opposing you. So a lot of changes, sudden at that, and quick for many people with strong Scorpio have happened in the last 7-8 years. And now you'll be left alone. No more direct aspect from Uranus, the planet of sudden changes. And you can take a breather. And it gets a bit easier. No direct aspect from Uranus. Actually, for you, Pluto is the main influence for many years ahead, which you're very familiar with that energy, but nothing like Uranus. Suddenly, out of the blue, a lot of changes, a lot of moves, a lot of, especially through relationships that might have happened or because of others, a lot of, and that made you helpfully expand it more. But now Uranus moves to the 8th house for 8 years. I mean, for 4 or 5 months this year, then back into your 7th house only for 2-3 months, 4 months, and only the very late Scorpios will feel Uranus again. Those the last 3 degrees from 27 to 30 degrees Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. The late November Scorpios, but from now on, just listen to what Uranus in the 8th house wants from you. And it might ask for some of you over the next 8 years to have independence financially, especially if you are dependent on someone else financially till now. Uranus does not, will kind of, if you were, say, there can be sudden changes in the finances of your partner or someone you've been relying on, or maybe the government's been giving you some, money that you relied on. Well, Uranus can suddenly stop all that and can motivate you to receive more financial independence. Or, like my husband just had Uranus through his 8th house, and he basically started investing our mutual finances so 8th house is mutual finances, people that come to you through others or together in a marriage or in a business partnership. And for him, a lot of the resources of our mutual business, he would invest them because Uranus brings high intuition, invest it in a lot. And if you want to do investments, you have to do it in uranium things. Like he invested literally in uranium, in cryptos, in kind of more Uranus ruled technologies and so on. But Uranus gives great intuition in that direction. And especially if Uranus is making good aspects from Gemini, for you, say, if you have planets in Aquarius, Aries, Leo, or Libra, even though you're Scorpio, you can suddenly get very rich with Uranus in the 8th house, suddenly through an investment or through inheritance. Even my husband also received an inheritance with Uranus in the 8th house, which also someone had to die for that, suddenly it happened. And his grandma, it wasn't so sudden, but it was, especially if you have planets in Gemini or Uranus is making aspects from there. But there can be something suddenly connected to other people's resources and your resources that changes and shifts. And if Uranus is making more stressful aspects from there, it can be like suddenly you stop receiving support, or your partner has to change work and for a year. And it's not going to be the whole 8 years, only when it makes exact aspect Uranus from there. Suddenly you decide to start a business together, something that is about mutual finances, mutual values together, that can shift in a big way. Or I've seen others who she always worked all her life, relying on herself and everything. Uranus moves to her 8th house. She suddenly gets pregnant, and they decide with her partner that she's not gonna work anymore. So again, with the mutual finances, a big shift, because 8th house is also pregnancy, Uranus, sudden surprise pregnancy. So there was a big shift that she didn't have to work now and suddenly had to rely just on a partner. But if it's been the opposite, you've always relied on someone or some external source of income to you that comes from others, there might be a change to the opposite direction. Uranus can always change, so you experience the other side of it. But I've seen people get rich with that, or people who have suddenly, or who have investments have big gains. So if Uranus is making hard aspect, sudden big losses through investments when Uranus is in this eighth house. So that's what, that's what I explain in my Uranus in Gemini webinar. I show you how to see where you have planets and whether Uranus is making easy or hard aspects for them, which years exactly, and what it means, how it manifested in the life of others. And when Uranus making stressful aspects, you don't want to do rash investments. You want to be a bit more cautious. And if it's and when it's making, because sometimes it might be making for a year or two hard transits from there, and then for a year or two sextile trines, suddenly you can make big money to you that comes from others or your partner or some external resource. But eighth house is not just that. Eighth house is also connected to psychological breakthroughs, finding a lot of secrets, and being free from obsessions. And that can happen very suddenly. It can happen through a crisis thing. You're doing something secretly. Some eighth house is what has control over you, power over your obsessions, your inner demons. And suddenly you can see you're really hurting someone and you break out of it. And I've seen people like cut it off and that's it, don't look back. Or you can find out if someone, as well, this 12 houses, sorry, 8 houses, again, secrets, you can confront and gain a lot of knowledge. Uranus is knowledge, higher knowledge about your own weaknesses and your own inner demons, and have a break with them. You can have a lot of psychological realizations moments, realizations that are so profound that you cut with the past very quickly. Uranus in the eighth house as well. Depends what, it's very amazing for learning astrology. Eighth house is occult, hidden knowledge. Uranus is knowledge, esoteric knowledge. So they combine beautifully, and enhancing your intuition and enhancing reading other people, just knowing if they're lying to you. No, with Uranus in the eighth house. So that's a lot of internal work, but I speak a lot more in my webinar about Uranus in the eighth house and Uranus in Gemini, about the eighth house, about any aspect it might be making from there. And it's only $20. So if you want to know more, you're welcome to check it out from the link below. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. Sagittarius, the month is eventful. As you can see, Mars will be in your 10th house. It passes once every 2.5 years through your 10th house. And it will stay the whole of July there. So you can be very active with your career, with your worldly affairs, get things done. It's a very strong position for Mars, but also it makes a square to you. But you need to, it can aggravate you. You can feel frustrated at moments, but this is exactly the fire you need to get things done. So you can wrap up, because it's with the South Node, to finish something, to complete, wrap up some career project, work project, for example. And you can get a lot done, but you have to be careful about confrontations with authority figures, whether it's police, whether it's bosses, whether it's parents, bossy parents, if you have such. Because the South Node there and Saturn can be quite explosive, especially around the days, the 19th, 20th, 21st, when they're very close together, around that time. And and if you're starting any battles, these to be battles more to defend someone, or rather than you starting attacking someone, or to defend yourself in some way, if you're provoked by another, because it can escalate a lot with Mars South Node. South Node is, according to ancient astrology, has Mars-like qualities as well. And it's like Mars losing his head, like the South Node is the headless warrior. And with Mars, the other warrior, it lose it. And, just also, they can be the ending of some karmic cycle, especially with bosses, with authority figures or parents, or if you have suppressed anger that can come out, especially around people that have abused their power, people, 10th houses, strong people, bosses, parents. If there was some suppressed anger, frustration, especially with parental figure, boss figure, it can escalate and can come out to be released, and sometimes even through some physical conditions, because Uranus is squaring your ascendant sun or moon this month, which is like inflammation or chronic pain or something. But know that this is Uranus, sorry, North, South Node and Mars are ending a cycle, past suppressed anger needing to be released. So try to do it in more healthy ways, by some working out, by putting a lot of energy into some work project. Don't suppress it so it doesn't explode or it doesn't turn into inflammatory internal condition for you, you know. But there can be some situations there, but don't forget that it can be also very productive situation. And as I said, those authority figures there, ending some cycle there, resolving or completing some unresolved issues that might be triggered by confronting some authority again. So you can express that unresolved anger or process it in healthier ways than you could as a child or earlier or some other time in your life. Then Venus, the whole month, is in your seventh house. So good things come to you through relationships. Maybe go with your partner to dinner, do some fun activities, join one-on-one friends or smaller group of friends to do something enjoyable, meet some more attractive, pleasant people. Also, it can be good for signing contracts, agreements, negotiations. They go smoothly the whole month with Venus in the seventh house. Good things come to you from others, not only from Venus in your seventh house, but from Jupiter in your eighth house for almost a year ahead, because 7 and 8 houses, the two benefics, are there in July, and Jupiter continues after that, are the good things that come to us from others. Ask and you will receive blessing, as I said, from others in some way. Or if you need to resolve some conflict, maybe ask for advice from another, or ask someone to be your representative, you know, to act as a substitute for you to go do that in a more diplomatic way. But you have also the diplomatic approach when Venus is in the seventh house, so it can balance this more combative Mars in the 10th house if you get frustrated at some situations. And then you have the new moon and Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is first on the 19th, I think it was. And it means that Mercury will be in your ninth house for 2 months, the whole July and the whole August. You might revisit some old countries you've been to, some old studies or learning, or have to retake some exam, or some teaching or learning material that you're working with, putting extra efforts with. You might see friends from abroad you haven't seen for a while. But Mercury is making a trine to you during this Mercury retrograde, so it's not disruptive to Sagittarius. If anything, this long, prolonged period of Mercury aspecting in a beneficial way, Sagittarius should be more about getting a lot of mercurial work done, which is writing, speaking, talking, and it's in a lucky house, the ninth house, that can give good results, that can give good Mercury's business, is work, Mercury's writing, speaking, communications as well. So yeah, or maybe having to arrange some legal papers and documents that you've missed, or some, what else is like visas, papers, documents for such kind of matters. And there is a new moon also in your ninth house on the 23rd, 24th of July. So definitely there's a lot of fire, you know, this month, which makes you feel good, makes you feel in your own water. When the sun is in fire with the new moon there, you feel more inspired, you can see the bigger picture. Mercury is also there. It makes you question some of your beliefs, and it makes you question some of your world perspective and view, but at the same time, very quickly, a new perspective and opportunities appear. Ninth house is your plans for the future, and your future make you question, okay, maybe you need to have to rework something about your plans for the future with Mercury retrograde, your plans, how you see the next year or two, or the ideal situation in your life, or the next big object, the next big goal. and you might have to rework some of those plans for it. But at the same time, new opportunities appear because of the new moon in Leo. And yeah, there can be possibility for travel with this new moon in Leo. Well, Mercury is still retrograde. Uh, if you're traveling, just make sure you don't lose papers, documents, or the traveling will be a bit more surprising. Say you have certain plans, but it might play out even better than you expected. Yeah, sometimes certain, kind of frustrating situations can happen as well, but it is what it is. Mercury goes retrograde 3 times per year. It will always activate such matters. And then the other big event is that Uranus is moving from your 6th house, where it's been the last 7 years, for the first time in your life ever, into your 7th house. And will be there from the 7th of July. It will be there 4 or 5 months, and then it comes back for 3 or 4 months back into your 6th house, and then it moves fully into your 7th house. And while Uranus was in your 6th house, maybe there was changes with your work more often than not in the last 6 months. Maybe there was some shifts and surprises, or maybe more Uranian type work where you need to use more social media, or maybe stops and starts in career, or experimenting with it, or maybe Uranus in the 6th house wanted you to be self-employed. Hopefully you've achieved that, not to be, because Uranus is independence. But now all this energy, it comes down in your work and your duties and responsibilities. What it comes to Uranus for the next 7, 8 years is your 7th house directly will be opposing Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, a lot of new things are coming your way, whether you're sun, moon, or rising, exactly when, which year. You have to know the degree of your sun, moon, or ascendant, and see which year Uranus exactly will oppose it. And Uranus does it 3 times. And in my webinar, Uranus in Gemini, I lead you exactly how to see in your chart what degree your sun is, moon is, all the other planets. Is Uranus going to square your Mars, maybe? Or is Uranus going to sextile your Venus, or Uranus, or trine your Venus in Libra? Or maybe Uranus is going to square your moon in Pisces if you have, and I go through absolutely every transit. You don't need to know any astrology, and I explain in depth what it means with a lot of stories, real life examples, so it feels relatable, and how it played out, not just at the moment when it happened, but in the long term for those people. So you can see the silver lining in everything, because Uranus can suddenly shift our reality from one way to totally another. Uranus changed my life like nothing else, and it's coming for you, Uranus, Sagittarius. But it was the best shift, even though at the moment I thought my life, everything I've worked on was falling apart. But very quickly you're showed with Uranus where it's taking you. And the changes will come to you through others. Maybe someone will appear in your life, might be a friend, might be a person that appears, that just to turn your life upside down. And maybe new clients, new social environment as well. And they would reveal that there is another way to live to you. Some of them might stay, some of them might not stay. Uranus is like a summer storm. It comes, lightnings, whatever, and then then leaves. My husband, when he had Uranus in the 7th house, he got married, he got divorced, he dated. He said, he would fall in love like from the first date, and then within a month he would know, or within days he would know, no, it can't be. And the moment Uranus was exactly on his 7th house cusp, he meets me, and I'm still in his life 10 years later. So they don't always disappear, Or you might attract Uranian partner in your life, maybe business partner or romantic partner, who is different, who is alternative, who is from the other end of the world, with an age difference, something that is kind of unique, someone that you've never dated before. If you've been all the time married and your marriage life is very stagnant, Uranus through the 7th house will ask you, you need to change something, or you might get separated, because Uranus wants us to want novelty, to want new. If your partner is always same old, doing the same things, you might feel drawn in a brand new direction, falling in love suddenly. Or your partner might need freedom. and say, I can't stand anymore. I need to go travel for a year. So this pushes you to change yourself, to do new things together with your partner. Maybe like you've never had children, have a child, or you've never been alone without children. Take a year where you're traveling, being alone, or if it keeps being the same, or move somewhere to live, start a business together, or Uranus can separate people. It just doesn't want the same old, same old. Or they can be, and that's ever since my husband met me. You think I'm leaving him to relax? Every year is like this continent, this country, that country. I'm always on some Uranian. I always want some chaos, and so it's if you meet such person, there for you, they'll stay. I mean, but anyway, uh, or also it can be you've been single all the time and you're in the center is your seventh house. I don't know exactly when. Again, this webinar will tell you the exact date when Uranus will oppose your ascendant or oppose your sun or moon, where things will be shaken up and what you expect. And you can suddenly, from being celibate, you fall in love. And it turns around, or maybe you just want to be alone, just the opposite of what you had till now. You want to be alone, or you want to be more independent from your partner, you want to travel and you do new stuff. So these are the type of things when Uranus in the seventh house. And I've seen also Uranus in the seventh house. Someone calls me and right in the seventh house, I lost all my most important clients suddenly out of the blue, they left. And I said, Uranus is there, someone new will come. And 10 days later, she says, brand new clients came now. So, I'm very familiar with Uranus. Someone disappears, someone new comes, much bigger opportunity, more different. So it doesn't leave you being stuck in, oh, poor me. Uranus in the seventh house can mean another awakens you, or external circumstances. It's not always a person that can awaken a big new adventure for you. It's time to be free, Sagittarius. Uranus is opposing you. Time to get wild, time to be free, time to to do your Sagittarius authentic thing. And that's for many of you is roaming, is being digital nomads, is being incorporating, a lot of foreign countries and freedom to move and so we'll see how it plays out for you, but it is fascinating. I have a lot more in the webinar that I speak about Uranus in the seventh house with stories and everything. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. So thank you. Don't forget, lucky month for you. New moon in your ninth house, the luckiest house. Mercury in your ninth house. Active month as well. Thank you. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. Capricorn, your planet, Saturn, is turning retrograde. I mean, it turns retrograde every year for 4 months, 3 or 4 months. So, not a biggie, but that's a period where you start to introspect and to start to analyze more how things can be different in that area of your life, maybe how you can correct them, fix them, repair them. Maybe if you first start observing them and withdrawing from active participation. And for you, Saturn is in the fourth house, might be connected to family, to your home environment, to your emotional connections with others, or your personal needs. Are you taking care of your personal needs? And then Saturn will keep being retrograde from September into your third house. So it will be other things that you'll be trying to kind of see from a different perspective, but just know that there might be a little bit more of a slowing down, not necessarily bad, and starting to question certain things. And either recommitting to something from the past, doubling down on it if you realize that it's really worth your efforts. You're very good at committing, Capricorns. We know that Saturn rules you. And really, sometimes Saturn retrograde is not ending stuff and saying, oh, I don't need this, I don't need that, questioning everything. I should deconstruct this or that and do it in another way. It's more like, oh, I want to recommit to something much that I used to do before. It's worth it. And this thing is really worth keeping. I want to double down on my efforts. So sometimes it's doubling down. And it might connect to, to your emotional needs. It might connect some realizations and some change of direction, because planet is changing direction in your fourth and third houses, So that's change of direction in regards to of circumstances in your personal life, home life, family life, with people you live, or something in the family environment. Something is shifting and changing. Maybe the circumstances are becoming different. That's what one of the things you start seeing in July. But there is a lot of help for you. Mars is in your ninth house, lucky house, helping you act more intuitively from a higher ground rather than from small perspective. And even if there's conflicts or problems, again, from a much higher state of consciousness, you would resolve them, because the ninth house is the highest state of consciousness. You can be proactive, because Mars is action, in teaching, in learning, in guiding others, but also very strongly opinionated. There might be clashes with others about opinions, preaching to each other, as they say. But also with the South Node, Mars is with the South Node, so it's quite enhanced in a sense that both are fiery energies. The South Node is known as fiery, like Mars, and so is Mars. South Node with Mars is like to lose one's head in anger. So especially if it's about political beliefs, ninth house is beliefs, politics, the larger picture in life, there might be some strong clashes of opinions with others. Or it just might be that you're very passionate about these kind of activities, this kind of participation in such arguments, even, who knows? Or we might be active abroad in a foreign country, ninth house is foreign country, or be very active about studying something, some exams, or very active on some teaching or learning project, for example. Or just Mars trining your sign gives you a nice, healthy dose of energy, because it's trine. It's not in a disruptive way, it's not in an aggressive way, it's more motivated overall. All right, and then you have Capricorns. Don't forget, though, that the whole year ahead, till next July 2025, Jupiter is looking straight at you, and no matter what other difficulties appear for you, Jupiter is protecting you. Every time Jupiter is looking through a trine in the sign, or trine or in the opposition of a sign, you're protected. Divine protection. Jupiter is the great benefic, directly looking at you. And usually if someone saves you, it's another person, kind of intervention or help from others. So keep reaching out for help from others. You will receive it with Jupiter in your seventh house. And there is a new moon and Mercury for 2 months in your eighth house, which is, again, the resources of others, help from others, whether it's a psychologist, whether it's ask for money from the government, whether it's ask for help from a partner or from a close person. It's the resources of others that they'll be more easily accessible and available to you. In July, with lots of planets in your eighth house, with Jupiter in your seventh house, don't try to do everything on your own. I'm trying to say that. And don't try to be a hero always. Now the universe is giving you help through others, and you might have to rely on others, and good things will come. Your partner might become richer, say, over the next 11 months with Jupiter in the 11th house. So you might find a good person you can rely on, or a helper, or assistant, or a business partner, or a good friend, or a marriage partner of a very good sort with Jupiter in the 11th house, in the 7th house. While the new moon this month and Mercury retrograde in your eighth house first can ask you, Mercury retrograde in July and August, to revisit maybe to rebudget your mutual finances, maybe to change plans financially with your partner and about your values. In some rare occasions, there can be clashes of what is mine versus what is yours, especially verbal clashes, fighting about resources with Mercury retrograde, or even expressing concerns that were unexpressed before, saying, for example, with a baby coming on the way, giving you one example, I need to rely more on you financially, and Mercury retrograde makes you express those things you are suppressing till now about mutual finances and mutual trust, and allowing yourself to merge together, whether it's your money to merge, your bodies, your energies, or some other clarifying conversations with business partners about, okay, maybe we shouldn't be spending on this, maybe we should be spending on that, or maybe let's see how much we can borrow, maybe make a plan about if we're going to buy this house, how much the mortgage will be, or maybe we shouldn't buy this house. Maybe we should instead remortgage our house or something like that, something about finances or money or value. So not only money, eighth house, that is other people's or mutual finances. Eighth house is more also the support and help you can get from another. Sometimes it's psychological, sometimes it's physical. So renegotiating such terms and conditions, even of actual contracts, with if you have someone who is renting your property, so clients that you can agree some terms and contracts with them, for example. That's another way it can play out. Or maybe you can decide like, oh, maybe investment we've made here, we can move it or examine it. Or maybe eighth house is money that comes to you through others, your clients' money, and you can think of a different strategy, research different strategy, how to access that, to make it more profitable, which you most likely see the results of these things from August, from the middle of August, when Mercury is direct, moving in Leo already. It's also a good time for psychological discussions or intimate discussions about very private things. Of course, with Mercury retrograde, things that were suppressed will come out to be expressed, but they need to come out to be addressed. Intimacy, trust issue, conversations. Yeah, this energy of the eighth house is a bit heavy, but it needs to be addressed as well. Also, you might just be really deeply into investigating stuff with Mercury retrograde in your third house, the new moon there, researching something, digging under the surface. I mean, not stalking someone, but researching something, This eighth house is to dig deep and maybe finding some secrets, some hidden information you weren't aware before, or just digging deep into. Sometimes I remember with strong transits and Mercury retrogrades in my eighth house, I really dig deep into astrology, the occult, or even watching things like conspiracies and forbidden occult knowledge or criminal crime, investigating crime online on the TV. And some kind of, it doesn't have to be like financial troubles always, Mercury retrograde in the eighth house. Sometimes, but there might be some extra expenses. I cannot hide it with Mercury retrograde in the eighth house. Say something comes up and you have to, have plan B, plan C to be prepared there. Okay, then the other big event that is happening in Capricorn is that Uranus is leaving your fifth house, leaving your romantic life and children and so on, and going into Gemini, which is your sixth house. Is not going to directly aspect you at all, but it will still do something in your sixth house for the next 7-8 years. It will be there from the 7th of July till sometime in November or December. Then it comes back into your fifth house with a trine to you. And then finally it moves 2026, the early beginning months, into the spring, into your sixth house. And so keep this video as a reminder for Uranus in the seventh house, because we have 8 years. You're going to have 8 years of it there. What does Uranus want when it goes to one of the earth houses? I mean, like the 6th, the 10th, the 2nd. First of all, it wants you to be independent in your work. Might give you, instead of 9-to-5 job, you might free yourself from some job that felt oppressive, that wasn't authentic to you. Maybe you have a business that you don't think is anymore aligning with your authentic values, is not interesting, is not exciting to you. You might stop it, or you might it might fall apart, or you might sell it suddenly during those 7-8 years and start doing something that is much more authentic. That's a big word from Uranus, to really awaken your curiosity, to engage your mind a lot in it. So jobs that are dead end, that, because Uranus is about the future, about the bigger perspective. Jobs that are dead end without perspective, you just keep switching such until you find one that is truly aligned with you, that makes you very excited And sometimes people go through a few years of instability in their career, in their job, in their professional life, because they go from one job that doesn't excite them to another, because they keep trying to stick to safety. But Uranus doesn't recognize safety. Uranus wants soul alignment, that your mind, your soul, and heart is engaged, that you're excited about it. So sometimes there can be instability with work until you find the right thing. And most of the people I know, well, Uranus is in the sixth house. I've mostly looked through ascendant, not so much through the sun and moon signs, definitely, because I've seen that they discovered something during that time that makes them feel more free, usually freelancing, working for themselves, being self-employed, or sometimes even stopping working if you're doing something you don't want, and being free from responsibility and worldly responsibilities and duties for some time to focus on other responsibilities. Uranus can bring other responsibilities, other jobs, or other more domestic responsibilities, or that you feel more excited about. Or Uranus can make your job align to more Uranian paths. Say if you're in the right job and you like it, but Uranus, they will ask you to modernize it, get a website, start using AI, digitize it, automate it, Uranian technology, science, or maybe if you're in any business that is uranium, like Uranus connected stock markets, because it's up and down all the time. It's good. If you're in business that is like alternative healer, Uranus is anything alternative, anything esoteric. If you're astrologer, human design reader, good. Your work might actually blossom. Uranus is sudden rise, sudden abundance of work. If you're in AI, in digital technologies, and such kind of stuff, this kind of jobs, or at least some kind of element of that, can be very good to incorporate. Sometimes some sudden health issues can appear. Exactly when Uranus transits the sixth house cusp, I speak about the house cusp and how to find the exact degree in any planets you might have. Others say, for example, you might have Venus in Aquarius as a Capricorn sun, and Uranus will trine it. Wow, that year you might fall in love in a very beautiful way, like a schoolgirl, schoolboy, and in a way that is authentic, truthful, without hiccups. So you might have your Saturn in Libra. Uranus will square it in your 10th house, and you can suddenly lose, like your boss can change, or you can change some with authority, but I go through absolutely every single transit that Uranus can make, whether it's sextile, trine, opposition, square, and how it can influence you. And if Uranus from Gemini in your sixth house is making trines and sextiles, some of the years it will be making trines and sextiles. Some of the years might be making squares, or no squares or oppositions. And then you know that there'll be like really good opportunities with your work, with your health, when it's making 6,000 trines from your sixth house. Suddenly finding a solution to a long-standing health issue, suddenly disappearing. Uranus is sudden, goes away. Uranus transiting your sixth house, trine, say you have something in Aquarius, trine it, or something in Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo. Well, suddenly, or a debt, you might be free from a debt you've had. You might suddenly align to a much better job. You might suddenly get healed from a health problem. So Uranus might be making suddenly opposition from your sixth house, and which are suddenly big changes at your work. You have to adapt. You're more stressed, or making, so I go through all of this, or suddenly your health, some surprise condition. I just had a lot of Uranus transits. Wasn't in the sixth house, but still it's like sometimes it's hormonal if Uranus, is connected, or the nervous tension. So you need to find ways to ground as well. But especially helpful for healing stuff when Uranus is in the sixth house is alternative medicine, new technologies, quantum, like spookies, quantum rife machines, and other alternative methods that are more esoteric. They actually wave healing, wave technology. This can be a very sudden solution to long-standing health issues and so on. Yeah, so if you'd like, it's only $20, my Uranus in Gemini webinar. Check it out for way more in-depth information of how Uranus will affect you in the sixth house. But just remember where the focus is, it's on the other side of the horoscope from you. You will need support, you will get it. The planets will converge, that you receive it from other sources, that you're helped, and so on. Thank you. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2025. Aquarius, let's begin with the big news. The planet that rules us, because I'm one of you, Uranus, is moving from Taurus, where it's considered to be in its fall. It's basically more difficult, and it's been for the last 7 years in a square to Aquarius. So they had some sudden changes, shifts. Aquarians are okay with changes, but still it was more unsettling. There was unstable, especially Uranus being at the bottom of the chart. Where is your foundation, your stability? Some of you maybe didn't feel so secure in stability. Like me, for example, we moved for the last 7 years, 8 times or more. It made big changes in personal life, with home, with family, with children, with parents, and a lot of surprises as well. The day Uranus exactly squared my moon and was on the 4th house cusp in my daughter broke her hand, and suddenly our whole plans for the family changed. So sudden, out of the blue things, surprises happen with Uranus, but it's moving. It's not going to square us anymore. And it also maybe when it was squaring your 1st house, maybe sudden breakups, sudden changes at your career as well. If it was your sun in Aquarius, if it's your moon in Aquarius in your personal life, sudden disruptions that happen. So there was a lot of volatility and a lot of shocks and instability, but also liberation to some extent. But Uranus, from now on, from the 7th of July, moves to our 5th house, from where, instead of squaring, which is a challenging aspect, it will be trining us for 7-8 years. So totally different. Life becomes way more stable. There will be still changes, but there will be ones that you welcome, ones that you feel ready for, ones that align with what you want. They won't be disruptive to the rest of your life. They would feel smoother and exciting rather than destabilizing. And Uranus will be in our 5th house almost till the end of the year, then moves back to our 4th house. So there might be a few things more we need to do till the beginning of the spring of 2026, and then it fully moves into our 5th house to stay there for 7 years after that. 7 years. So this video, bookmark it so you can come back to it and watch it over the next 7 years. So you know if you're aligning with that energy and what to expect. When Uranus is transiting the 5th house, you whole energy, because you're Uranus, we're ruled by Uranus. Wherever Uranus goes, we invest ourselves in it. Like when Uranus was in my 4th house, I fully invested myself in homes. We got a couple of 2-3 different homes, and in moving all the time, and family and children. Now your energy will shift into creativity, going to the 5th house, into fun, enjoyment, into bettering, improving yourself, because this is a not self house, because it's another air sign like you, Aquarius. So Uranus will, in another self house, you'd feel more and more authentic into who you are. You discover what truly makes you joyful, because 5th house is the ability to connect to the flow of life, to feel inspired, to feel in flow, to create like children create, and they don't care what they create. So this whole energy will shift into you creating. You might be called to create something wonderful, something unique. 5th house is, especially in Gemini, it's about original ideas that you might suddenly download to create something. You might write a book with Gemini there or something. And I cannot tell it when exactly. To find out, you need to know the exact degree of your ascendant, of your moon or sun in Aquarius. And I show it in my webinar, Uranus in Gemini, which is 5 hours long. You don't need to know any astrology to understand it. It's done so simple. It's with manual. I tell you where every planet in your horoscope is. Say if you have the moon in Aquarius or your sun at 26 degrees, and I show you how to find out what degree it is and which year exactly Uranus will trine you. and those things that I'm talking about, or also to see where exactly the fifth house cusp will be for you. Or you might have here the sixth house cusp in Gemini, and to hear and to listen to that house as well, because this is more general horoscope. I cannot do it specifically for you, but that webinar goes into anything. And maybe Uranus from there will square a planet you have in the second house in Pisces, or maybe Uranus will trine a planet you have in Libra. And exactly exactly you can never say, but what will happen with stories from people whose life I've observed, with real stories. So you have expectations what's happening, but Uranus will really help us as Aquarius to find our talents that we were not aware of. Fifth house is natural born talents. I don't know, I might discover talent for singing. I highly doubt it. Talents for making movies, talent for something that you become very passionate about. You'd pour out your whole soul about some project. Fifth house is project, passions, hobbies. Some of you might turn it into a career. Some of you might turn it into a hobby that gives so much meaning and joy in your life. So if the spark was lacking from your life, it's not going to be like that anymore. Maybe not immediately from the 7th of July. Maybe you're later born Aquarius. Maybe your ascendant is later degrees. But already you start feeling this opening up. The fifth house is the heart chakra, and to feel love to something, to connect to something. And this brings me to another topic. Uranus in your fifth house can actually make you fall in love. That literally. Or you can fall in love through a hobby, or through a new passion, new project, new business, or you can fall in love actually. Or if you're already in love with someone, or you need to shake up things a bit romantically, Uranus can shake up things romantically, so you can re-spark and you fall in love in a different way again with the same partner. You see, I'm telling this because I don't want to fall in love with someone else. So I've seen this as well. Uranus through the fifth house, something happens. They have a child, for example, suddenly out of the blue, and they fall in love in different ways. So they suddenly, as a couple, decide to do more Uranian things, to be more spontaneous, to travel. Or they have to spend some distance apart, and this makes them realize how much they love each other. But you need to change something to respark the spark, and Uranus will change something to respark a romantic spark, or it will bring usage, becoming in love. And as I said, it's not always a human you become in love with. It might be a child, or not, not a man or a woman. It might be a child, it might be a hobby or a passion. You become this creative genius when Uranus enters your fifth house. Even if you're dull, I have many days when I'm very dull and no original thought comes through my mind, seriously. And then Uranus, I know and I feel it and I'm excited. Uranus through the fifth house will give us this spark, this creativity. I had a friend who had Uranus transit in her fifth house recently, and she suddenly got pregnant. She suddenly fell in love first, then got pregnant. It's a 7-year transit, but still went exactly on the cusp. So that's what the webinar shows you. It's only $20. And suddenly all those, get falling in love, getting pregnant. And during that Uranus transit, she also created 2 businesses that she developed, which were her own original ideas. She developed them all and so on. You can also start using for your creations more digital technology, AI. I really want to start making movies, like movies about heaven, about life after death. And maybe someone can help me, who knows? If it's God's will, with Uranus in the fifth house, I don't want to participate in them. I just want beautiful, inspirational movies for people. Maybe others will do them. Uranus in the fifth house can also indicate suddenly breaking up with someone, especially if you have some planets that Uranus is squaring or opposing, maybe planets in Pisces, in Virgo, Sagittarius. Or if you're having Uranus opposition your natal Uranus in Sagittarius, who knows? They might fall in love, but it disrupts the peace of your life. Or you just want to be more creative, more free, definitely with Uranus in the fifth house. And all Uranian things that you do are very auspicious for Aquarius for the next 7-8 years. Again, astrology, AI, esoteric knowledge, social media, internet, anything alternative, anything cutting edge, anything a bit esoteric as well, or higher knowledge. Uranus at higher vibration is divine knowledge, and fifth house is teaching, learning. Also, if you have children, there can be a new phase in their life. Sometimes this is those 7-8 years, a period when children might leave, so you're free and liberated from children, or suddenly appear, or children become more independent. Depends what aspect Uranus is doing through your fifth house. Is it going to be shocks and surprises with your children that are more stressful, or with your love life, or is it going to just flow easily? I explained this in the webinar. Anyway, but let's focus now specifically on this month. These are influences just for this month now, not for the next 8 years. Venus is the home month in your fifth house. So anything we talked about that, you can have more fun now. You can be more comfortable with center stage roles. You can be more flirty with Venus in the fifth house. You can express yourself creatively with more ease. You can have more creative ideas, especially that the ones about making something more beautiful, more attractive, more presentable, more magnetic. And for your romantic life, definitely it is improvement. Go on a date. You can have more fun with your partner, or go on a date that goes much nice, quite pleasant as well. Or holidays, enjoying yourself, or finding or doing hobbies again that are pleasant, that are enjoyable. You see the same themes, but much shorter influence. And then Uranus kicks in. Then we have a lot of planets in the seventh house. So it's going to be a lot about others. At first, there is Mercury, who will be 2 months in July and August in our seventh house. So there is a lot of interactions with others, and it goes retrograde around the middle of July. So already from the middle of July and into the middle of August, you might be meeting up with people you haven't met for a while. Friends, or, other people in your life. Seventh house is other people, not necessarily marriage partners only. Or maybe reconnect with old clients, with people from before. We had Mercury retrograde in Leo last year as well, and that's what happened for me. I was meeting up friends that I haven't seen for a while. But of course, there can be some situations where you need to say things that you've postponed saying, that you've put under the table, especially if something is upsetting you with a partner, that need to be talked out. The terms of contracts need to be renegotiated in business, or in any contract, or in your personal relationships, where Mercury, let's change the rules. Like maybe you take more care of the kids now. Maybe we go on a date every Friday. Let's make this relationship work. And if there is, and Mercury is very fair and balanced planet, and if it feels like there is no desire from the other side, sometimes relationship can break apart during Mercury in the seventh house, maybe with a business partner, maybe with a collaborator, because you feel like it's too much, it's not being fair on both sides, or there is no desire from the other side to collaborate, or maybe some things that were unspoken need to be said, so people on both sides are clearer with their responsibilities and their commitments. That's another way it can play out. So yes, there can be some tense aspects, moments during July, especially from the middle and August, where you need to say those things that were unsaid. And sometimes it's about and usually Mercury would improve the relationship after that, and you say, oh, so glad we spoke this out, things are running much better now. But sometimes it can be like, even though Mercury is not making hard aspects to other transiting planets now, but you never know. Very much depends on the personal horoscope. If you have planets in Taurus and Scorpio, Aquarius, Mercury will square or oppose them. So there can be some more tension that comes to you from others. They call you out on something, or there is some miscommunication that you have to address. But also there is a new moon in your seventh house on the 23rd, 24th of July. So also new people will enter your life, or maybe possibility for a new partner for some of you, especially the early degrees Aquarians, the first 5-6 degrees. But also a power struggle, because Pluto is opposing this new moon at 2 degrees Leo in your seventh house, and Pluto is at 2-3 degrees Leo as well. So they can be like provocation from others that mobilizes your willpower. Pluto is willpower, ambition, drive to change, to transform yourself, to change something about yourself, or hopefully it's not some power struggle that starts happening in malicious manipulations. But they can be definitely, or some important development through clients, through other people, some important news, some new development in the life of a partner, and so on, a new one appearing as well, as I said. While also this Mercury is like thinking, should I keep this old relationship or no? Is it worth it? Or how can I improve it? Or these old contracts or these existing collaborations. All right, then Venus, we said you have Venus in the fifth house. You see, one is romantic partners, one is committed partners. There's a lot of energy going there. Fun times with Venus in the fifth house, a lot of interactions with others with the seventh house activated, maybe even asking for help from others, and because Jupiter is in your sixth house already, in our sixth house, work should be going well. And a lot of those relationships might be work relationships that you're working through or new ones that appear. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is all that I can see now. Oh yeah, Saturn will start going retrograde in your third house from the beginning of the month already, from the 13th. For the first time in 30 or 28 years, Saturn goes retrograde in Aries, in your third house of communications. And Saturn is the power to say no. And when Saturn goes retrograde, we really start rethinking our communications. Where do we put our focus and attention? So this retrograde, very likely, some of you would say, I'm spending too much time online. So Saturn, the power of no, the power of self-discipline, can allow you to, for example, stop using phone for a bit, or to rethink where you, maybe I've been watching too much news. I never watch news. Third house is news, and maybe this is when I'll stop that. Also, third house is siblings, relatives, people in your immediate environment. They can be the change of relationship with them. If the relationship has been one way now, you might start rethinking, you might start seeing more what's not working in these relationships, relatives, neighbors, siblings, even friends. Or there might be that one of those people symbolized by the ninth house, there is a reversal in their life and some situations that you need to support them through. Or you might decide to cut off some people from this group from your life. If you find they're getting too toxic, again, Saturn is the power of no. When it's retrograde, it's even more powerful. It's way closer to Earth. All right. Or you might be reworking some project of writing, speaking, communication that requires extra efforts in July, in August. And then in September, Saturn leaves your third house, moves into the second house where it's going to be retrograde. So you might need to double down on some intellectual project, online project, business project, put extra efforts to correct something, or just with a more critical eye examine what has to be changed and how it can be changed. So thank you so much, Aquarius. The best news was Uranus entering our fifth house, leaving this uncertainties and starting to support us from now on. Our own planet aspecting us is a big thing in a beneficial way. So yeah, check out the webinar below. I think there is early bird price. I don't know if it's still on, but if you're lucky, you might catch it, and it's very cheap. Thank you. Sun, Moon, Rising in Pisces, July 2025. No matter what predictions I do from now on, Pisces, till July 2025, or astrologers tell you, even if they're scary, you are protected. The same for all the water signs, Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, because Jupiter is sending its super beneficial aspect, trine, to your sun, moon, or rising. So this aspect, this Piscean side of you is very protected. If it's your moon, your personal life and feelings will be very protected, and good stuff will be happening, and emotional well-being, family life. If it's your sun in Pisces, your career can be very protected and good stuff will be happening, and your health as well. Moon and sun, they're also connected to the health and bodily integrity. With the sun is also your goals and dreams in life will be protected and advanced over the next 12 months. And if it's your ascendant, your relationships as well, your path in life, your body definitely. So there's a lot of protection, but let's look how the influences are specifically for this month. Jupiter is working there, will continue for another 11 months. But first you have Venus in your fourth house, the whole month, just for this month. Good stuff come to you from home. I just had Venus in my fourth house. I really enjoyed staying at home. Usually at this time of year, I'm on the beach, I'm gone all the time, I'm blah, blah, blah. This time, Venus in the fourth house, I'm like, my home is my castle. I'm enjoying it so much. We did the garden so nice. We made it so much pleasant to be, and I've been just enjoying there, laying on the hammock and swinging. So good time to settle, to feel more content at home, to do some nice things for the home, for the family. I improved a bit my relationship with my parents. It always needs working on. But yeah, so stuff like that, anything to do with home or even real estate, property, buying, selling property, that can be a good activation if you have other. Just Venus in the fourth house will not allow you to buy or sell a property unless there are other powerful indications that it's time for you. But if you're already in the process, this can be the one that kicks it off. Then at the same time, Mars will be the whole month in your seventh house. So if anything triggers you, that will be others. Your partner might trigger you, clients, any kind of business partners, And when exactly it will happen? Exactly when Mars opposes your sun, moon, or rising in Pisces. If you are earlier born Pisces, maybe even at the end of June, the beginning of July. If you're later born Pisces, sun, moon, or rising, might take up to the end of July, where you feel this kind of, it might be a confrontation, it might be trigger. And especially if you've been suppressing some anger or frustration about maybe your marriage partner, maybe another person in your life, doesn't have to be the marriage partner. If you don't have one, a boyfriend, girlfriend, might be a client or someone you work with. If you've had some suppressed anger, it can come to the surface because the South Node is with Mars, and the South Node is the planet of suppression that wants to, anger that's been suppressed, that wants to be released, that wants to, and that's why it's dangerous combination for the whole world with the current situation that we are, especially karmically unresolved past conflicts. That's exactly the situation we're in right now, karmically unresolved. It's a century-old conflicts that's happening. But I'm not saying maybe it's from past lifetimes that you can resolve some conflict, but it escalates so it can be addressed. Especially if you, as a child or early in life, felt vulnerable, couldn't protect yourself, felt unfairly treated by someone, and suddenly this anger might escalate and you're wondering why you feel frustrated. Someone might trigger it in a very small way that wouldn't usually make you explode like that. But remember, this is much more karmic here with the South Node and Mars. If they activate you to release some held up, so you can react in a more grown-up way, so you can more healthily express your frustration or anger or defend yourself in a more wholesome way, rather than, especially when we're young, or if you're fearful, we can do it in an unhealthy way by suppressing it. And part of this process of healing, of releasing this build-up emotional tension and anger, which is coming out to the surface now, can be through physical symptoms, because Mars is looking straight at your sun, moon, or ascendant, especially kind of more acute or kind of pain, sudden pain, or inflammation that appears, or a cold of some sort even. And just know it's a healing process of this unexpressed, better out than in. I keep saying it. The South Node is allowing it to release it. And you might need to have some thing to release it, through running, through anger therapy, shouting, speaking with the therapist to express your disappointment, your pain, by defending yourself in some way. I don't know how exactly you would process this with probably physical exercise is a good idea. And even saying stuff that you're upset about, expressing them directly to another. Plus, it can also end some karmic relationships in your life, because South Node is about endings. Mars activates it, especially if they trigger in you this kind of divine anger, frustration, if they trigger painful points in you. It's going to be, especially those Pisces around that have sun, moon, or ascendant around 20 to 24, 5 degrees in Pisces. They can feel the Mars South Node especially strongly, because it's exactly opposite their sun. But it can be also freeing. It's like, I'm freed from this person. I'm freed from this, situation in life, or from this client that's annoying me, or from this business partner, or whatever. Or it can be just like you expressing it and moving on. But also the Mars South Node combination can also mean that another person activates you into action. They point out to you something that triggers you. Yes, Kai will go. You're activating my 7th house now, Kai. Go away. Before. Okay, sorry, a little interruption. And yeah, so it can it can be like this again. It can be good, even if someone triggers you, but they can trigger into some constructive actions. They can trigger you into getting fitter. They can trigger you into initiating something else in your life. They can be like your engine. Now, another important event that is happening this month is there's a lot of planets in your 6th house. Mercury will be retrograde in your 6th house. So, for example, you might be revising a relationship from the middle of the month with a colleague, or maybe working on some old project that comes back to you to be completed, corrected. Or maybe you realize that you need to change your working environment, or maybe there's some changes in your working environment that you need to adapt to. Oh, you need to learn a new software. Oh, we're not going to be using this delivery service, we'll be using another. So there's some adjustment period there with this retrograde period. Or maybe, the routers are not working, or the deliveries are not coming. I don't know, something that you need to kind of be more flexible when it comes to your work, to adjust, to have plan B, C. Don't stress about it. Mercury goes retrograde 4 times, sometimes per year. Now, this time it happens in July and part of August, to be retrograde in your 6th house of work, duties, responsibilities. Don't lose your head. Just work around the problems. And after the beginning of August, Mercury turns direct and things start going more according to plan again. And sometimes you just need to go, maybe some old work proposition or work opportunity will come to your work project that you pick up, or one that you need to complete and edit and fix now. Or maybe you rethink your career direction. Sometimes it's like, do I really want to stay in this situation? Mercury retrograde period gives you an opportunity, maybe not to quit now, but to see what's not working. How can it be improved? How my working process can be more efficient? Or maybe I don't like this work environment. Maybe I should start looking around for other places, Or maybe you really love your work and everything, but maybe there is more efficient way. Maybe you've missed something. So these things can become more obvious then. But don't forget, Jupiter is in your 5th house, protecting you. As I said, also it's good for romantic life, despite of Mars in the 7th house here, where sometimes relationships can be tested, especially when it's with the karmic influence of the South Node. Jupiter in the 5th house says, don't worry, protecting you here. And romantically still, there can be opportunities despite of everything. But the other big event that I wanted to speak about is that Uranus is entering into your 4th house. It's been in your 3rd house for the last 7 years. Maybe you learn new skills. Maybe you traveled more. Maybe there was disruptions in communications or in relationships with siblings or